Hey guys, how's it going? First, let me go ahead and say, if y'all hear my dog snoring, I'm very sorry. I'll try to get her to stop if she continues to snore so loud, because I tell you, sometimes it's insane. I mean, she weighs about 120 pounds, but good grief, it gets a little annoying. I mean, it's all day, all night. Anyhow, so what we're going to look at today is different. This is going to be my first reaction to anything to do with ghosts and demons, whatever you want to call them. The reason I say that is one thing my dad told me when I finally had something happen to me, because I didn't believe in any of the ghost or demonic things growing up. And then my ex-wife, I remember, because see, we moved into a house, our first house we moved into when I was 18, and or 17 going on 18. And my ex-wife, she told me, she's like, there's something in that house. And I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, well, when I'd stay and babysit your brother all day while your parents were at work, she's like, I would hear things. There's something in that house, I'm telling you. I didn't believe her. I blew it off. I said, nah, I don't think so. I don't believe in that, crap. Anyhow, so it was probably, I'd say 6 months later. My ex-wife was at work that particular day, I remember. And me and her wasn't together at the time. But anyway, I had got home around 6 in the morning and I fell asleep. And I remember I woke up at 11 o'clock and I was the only one home because everyone was at work. And I wake up and I look up at the ceiling and I'm like, why am I awake? I'm like, that's odd. And I roll over to go back to sleep. Well, I feel my dog hop up at my feet. And then he goes to my knees. And at that same time, it's registering in my brain. I had gotten rid of my dog 3 days before that. I'd had that dog for 7 years. And he was a miniature Yorkie. I loved him to death. But we had just moved into this house maybe a year before that. And he started peeing in the house and getting behind the furniture and peeing. I didn't know anything about it. Well, when it was brought to my attention, I didn't know what was going on because at that time, like I said, I didn't believe in ghosts. So my dad had me, let him go because I wasn't understanding what was going on. And later on, come to find out, my parents knew there was something in the house, but didn't tell me because they didn't want to scare me. But back to my original story is I was laying in bed and I looked up at the ceiling. I rolled over because I was going to go back to sleep. I was used to waking up at around 3 in the afternoon at this time. I mean, granted, I'm 18. But when it clicks in my brain that my dog is not in the house anymore, I go to roll over and I'm pinned. I cannot move. I can't open my eyes. I can't talk. And it probably lasted, I would say, 10 seconds. It felt like 10 minutes. Because when you're in your brain, you're working, you're there. But you cannot physically do anything. It's terrifying. So, that being said, whatever's in this documentary thing, I'll give my input on if I think it's real, if I think it could be manipulated, which a lot of things, you could always look at something, as it's a fake. Either it's going to be digital or they didn't have, something in camera or someone else could have done it. But let's just see what it's about. All right, guys. I will have the link down in the description, and like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you want me to watch. I would love to be able to get some people to give me some ideas on what to watch. Debating on going down the ghost path. Now, I will say, my dad did tell me, he said, never ever be afraid of any ghost. Well, he says they're demons because in the Bible there is no mentions of ghost other than like the Holy Ghost, which is the Holy Spirit. Hold on, I'm trying to plug in my laptop to make sure it doesn't ever try to go dead. All right, there we go. Sorry, guys. All right, but he said never be scared of it, but never, ever, ever try to challenge it. Because if you go to mock it or try to challenge it, you're basically open the door up to get your ass handed to you. And I'm going to tell you, I've been scratched. I've been pinned down multiple times. One time I was well, the second time, both times I was awake, but one time I come out of sleep. One time I was in the bedroom getting ready to go to sleep. Never did go to sleep. Never even got a chance. And I got pinned right then there. I knew something was beside the bed. I don't know what the hell it was. This was at my mom's house at the time. This is 10 years later. I just remember I was on the right side of the bed. The room was black. But all of a sudden, I just knew there was something beside me that wasn't good because I could feel it. I don't know why. Damn, the hairs on my arms are standing up thinking about that one. Now, used to, the other story would bother me for a long time, but it don't bother me no more. But that one, I just remember knowing that I couldn't see anything. I just knew something was there. And about as soon as I went to grab my girl, as I was starting to slide over, boom, frozen. Anyhow, let me know if y'all want to hear anything else about my experiences. But let's get into this, guys. Hey, it's red on screen and I'm got red lights on in here.
The people in this film sat down on their own accord. There was no script. I didn't coach anyone. Much of which they said I discovered as I was filming, connecting my own dots, making this story bigger and bigger. It really became something different. So what you see is what they saw, and what they experienced was. As much as we try to portray Franklin to be something beautiful, which it is, it's because the real beauty starts on the inside. And the darkness of Franklin, I believe, is on the inside as well.
Shut up,
I'm not
bitch.
the only one who's had experiences at the shop. The location was always an active location from the moment I walked in the door. For 3 months, I painted that place black. And I didn't have any oddity in there, no antiques. It was just me, some friends, and some tools. And we would see shadow people, hear voices, footsteps.
Okay, my thing on that is, as far as I know, I've never seen nothing now out of my peripheral. Before I knew or believed in any of that stuff, there's a good chance I probably did. Now, afterwards, I would notice things, but I could never say I thought I seen something, except for one time in the house I'm in now. This was before my fiance passed. Me and her both were in the bedroom. We were up. It was morning time, but I thought I seen something black go into the bathroom. She thought she seen something white come out of the bathroom. And then within a minute, 2 minutes, her 3-year-old son come back there just bawling, saying there's some big tall person in here, and he was pointing towards the ceiling. You know, they wasn't talking really well, and I asked him, was it the coat rack? But it was in the opposite side of the living room, and he kind of laughed and said, so I truly, because he was like literally crying. So I don't know if he's seen it. I do know that my old neighbor, he told me someone did pass away here. A lady, she passed away in her sleep. But that's the only thing I've ever had happen here. I've never had any bad feelings, never heard anything, nothing like that. Anyway, at my dad's house, growing up, me and my mom wasn't allowed to stomp or walk hard. My dad did. Well, when I lived in the basement at my dad's house, sometimes I'd have to go upstairs to use the bathroom. Well, there'd be times, and the second I'm getting ready to go up them steps, all of a sudden I hear him walking down. Well, then I'd wait, and he'd never go back to the room. Then I'd go up there. All the lights are off. Nobody's awake. So, yes, I've heard walking. I've heard what I thought was my brother playing with Hot Wheel cars, but no, it was it, because it was in my brother's room at just about all. My brother didn't sleep in his room for 25 years. He just now moved out of that house. Sorry to interrupt. Let's go.
It was apparent to me right away that it was an active location, right from the beginning. And then I bring in all my stuff. I didn't want to not bring out your friend.
I had nightmares about her last night.
I'm gonna turn it up
I
a
don't
little
look
bit.
at her. I don't even make any kind of eye contact. So I always wanted a baby
Screw that doll right there. I don't like it.
secrets. I had let Adam know that while Adam was picking a farmhouse a few years ago, he had found me one. This is baby secrets next to me. This is the actual baby secrets that Adam found in the farmhouse. And I was so excited to have her. I ended up taking her home, and I never really moved her from the spot that I left her in when I brought her home. Weird things started happening. I started seeing these images in my head of this slug lady that would crawl in this strange motion at me. And I didn't really put it together that it would be baby secrets at the time. Weird things would happen, like I had a lamp that was sitting in a room by itself where it had fallen and it broke just out of nowhere. I had come to the shop and I talked to Adam about it. We were kind of putting pieces together that maybe it could be baby secrets. When I did end up bringing the doll to Adam, everything had stopped. The images in my mind had stopped. Anything moving around the house, falling over, breaking, all of that stopped when I brought baby secrets into the shop. I hate this doll.
See how she's feeling right there? I've been like that. There's like, dude, I'm gonna tell you, I didn't go inside my dad's house probably for a month without somebody else there. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it, man. When you're getting froze and you can't move by something you can't see, you don't want to be in that house.
I hate this doll.
Sitting next to you, does it feel weird?
Yeah. Like even last night,
Drop kick it.
I just feel like extreme anxiety.
It truly is a phenomenon all by itself that so many people can have an experience in a location while so many people have no experience in the exact same location.
When I'm here tattooing by myself is when I feel like somebody or something is watching from afar. Like it's never anybody's like right behind me or anything like that, but I feel like someone or something is here and it's just coexisting.
This hallway here at 10 o'clock, there's always a shadow that passes by, and especially when I'm tattooing. In my peripheral vision, you can tell like somebody just walked up. So when I look up, I'm like, nobody's there. You know, which is kind of odd.
I remember at my dad's house, damn, I was like my computer, my old one way back when, was beside my bed, and I had a laser mouse, you know, that's got the trackball on it. Well, my screensaver had cut off, the screen and everything was off. Well, then randomly the screensaver came back on, and I waited till the next day. But I was sitting there, I was like, but when you touch the mouse, it takes you back to the desktop top. So I was like, well, maybe it's just the computer. Maybe it's just doing something. Well, of course, the curiosity here had to, you know, kill the cat. But yeah, in the morning I got up and I just barely touched the mouse. Just enough to wiggle one of the little dots on it to make it move. And it went to the screensaver. And that's when I was like, man, fuck, something moved the trackball. And that would be one thing if my mouse was just a regular, you know, you move the whole thing because maybe the bed hit it or something. But no, this one, you just had a ball. So something would have to actually hit the ball. And they hit it just enough to cut the screen on. And then another time upstairs, this was when I moved back to my dad's house at one point. I was like 26 or so. Me and my girl were in the bedroom, and my computer was powered off, sitting there off, and it just cut on by itself. Blew both of our minds. I was like, how the fuck did this thing just cut on? So yeah, man, I'm telling you. So far it seems real.
Peripheral vision. And immediately in my mind, I'll be like, oh, I probably just saw something. Until I notice my client also looking over. And I'll double check and I'll be like, you saw that too, right? And if they confirm, what just happened?
Shadows. I see shadows a lot here. I used to see them more so when we had a false wall in the back here, and I would see them go across the wall. Now that that wall is gone, I don't really see them as often, but when I do, I see them generally in the hallway from the bathroom to the kitchen. That's where I see them the most.
I've also seen several things in this shop. I've seen people walk around corners. I've heard conversations, things move.
There was a shadow figure that had appeared behind her. And it was probably only there for a second or two and then disappeared.
And I hear movement around me all the time. And I always feel that there's kind of just someone coming around. But I always look and I never see anybody.
Nobody told me the shop was haunted. Nobody told me anything had ever happened here, that there was any kind of presence. And I remember feeling that there was something watching me. I remember turning around and I saw what looked like a 5'8" person just walk around the corner, going back from where I just came from. And I was like, oh, hey, who's that? And I go back and there's no one there.
The only thing that I ever have happen is when I go through the back room at night and the lights are off and it's dark, I definitely tend to walk a little quicker. I can't honestly say that I feel like it's paranormal. It's just more of an unease of walking through a dark room with a bunch of mannequins. But if I'm being honest, I don't want to ever say disparaging stuff about paranormal because I don't know. I haven't had anything happen, but it could be happening, and I just, it hasn't happened to me yet. So
this was probably 2019. There was
Christopher.
a taxidermy crocodile up front, and there was a whole bunch of Ouija boards all lined around the crocodile.
I'm gonna tell you now, kids, if there's any kids watching and any adults that don't know better, never ever touch one of those. All you're doing is asking for trouble that you probably ain't ever gonna get rid of. Thank God it wasn't a thing whenever I was growing up where kids wanted to go mess with those, because I'd have been probably dumb enough to do it because I didn't believe in ghosts. So I would have probably been dumb enough to do it and then get something stuck on me, which the thing I dealt with was around for probably about 10 years, and I honestly think it's gone now. Hope to God it is. Hopefully, I know it's still at my dad's house. I know that because my brother, he just now moved out, and it's still there.
It was broad daylight, and I saw the Ouija board fly off of the table and onto the ground. There was nobody around it. No doors had just closed. Seriously, in the middle of the day. And it freaked me the hell out, that's for sure.
I've heard things fall over that weren't even back here, and there was nothing big enough to make that noise.
I was in Adam's booth with him one night after a tattoo. We were breaking down, and we had the cling wrap on a paper towel holder, and we both saw it fall to the ground. And we both kind of looked at each other like, huh, okay, so that happened.
I get weird feelings, especially when I'm alone. It's kind of one of those instinctual, like you feel like someone's like behind you or following you.
Yep, I've been
The closer
there.
I get to leaving, the more something in the space around me wants me to leave. And I'll occasionally start hearing things kind of like, the occasional shuffling of feet or rustling of papers in the back. And then I'll have to remind myself, I'm the only one here.
The main shadow that I've seen that is repetitive is a really, really tall shadow. And it goes from this corner of the stage to the corner where the hallway is in the shop. I would say it was probably for real with the rune reading with John when I saw it for the first time.
I'm Father John, formerly of the Black Hat Oddities, which is located directly behind me, just through the cat's mouth. My most memorable event that I had here was one night. It was after closing time. I was in the back shop throwing the bones with one other person, and I had 2 candles burning, which I looked at as the canary in the coal mine, and I'm glad they were burning this night. When the candles started spitting, both of them equally, and I heard a noise.
Now, I don't know what throwing the bones is. I have no clue. I thought he said throwing bones, but then he's mentioning candles. Never heard of that. I'm not really into all that.
Noise behind me would have been right about where the stage area is
I
here.
don't interrupt you. Did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
What was that?
Out where the stage area is
I don't
here.
interrupt you. Did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
What was
I missed it. I can't hear it.
I don't know, but that might show up on the playback. That was like a,
that? Yeah, like I was like.
yeah, I'm glad they were burning this night. When
Ah.
the can-
I heard it.
Okay, let's pause. Being that this isn't the only voice that was caught on camera in this film, I wanted to put out there that I play the spirit telephone game the same way you guys all do. So what I hear may not necessarily be what you guys hear. And I may be completely biased on this one, but since I am talking to my father, Father John, that's exactly what I hear now that I listen back at this one in particular. But like every voice that will be on this film tonight, you can decide for yourself.
burning this night. When the candles start, which it sounded like it was, hold on kids, things might get real interesting. So it was just the two of us. The double doors directly behind me were open. She was looking at me the direction I'm facing right now. So she had a really good visual on the stage area. And then when we got done, I said, "What did you see?" And she described what she saw as a huge male figure stepped off the stage and then walked this direction. When all this was going on, I could hear footsteps loudly on the floor. I mean, it was, we were the only ones in the building, so it was clear as a bell. And that was the most memorable experience I had here relating to the paranormal.
And two is footsteps, man. It's weird because I know I'm the only one here with my client as I'm tattooing. Kind of like that. You know what I mean? And like close by too. Like
It's
if
crazy
you're just
how they
walking
make those
past
sounds.
the
I don't know
doorway,
how
you
it
know?
happens,
So it's not like
but it's
far
true.
away or anything. Like it could be like a
You
pipe
couldn't
movement.
have
It doesn't sound anything like that.
You couldn't have told me otherwise that it wasn't my dad walking down the hallway, because it sounded like a 200-pound person just walking carefree upstairs. It didn't sound like they had on boots or nothing. It sounded like they had on, just wearing no shoes, just because he had, the very beginning he had carpet and then he stripped it down to hardwood, but either way, you never heard a click clack or nothing like that. It was just solid thumps.
I was tattooing last night. My client was sitting the same way this lovely lady here was sitting, facing the opposite way. They've been the only ones here for over an hour, I would say. The music had cut off, so it was crazy quiet in here. And I just hear like footsteps, like heavy footsteps. And so I stop and I look over, and I'm like looking down the hall. And my client's like, "You heard that too, right? Like, that's definitely footsteps." And I'm like, "Well, maybe it was Miles," but and we hear Miles talking in the booth. He never had stopped tattooing, so it sounded like dress shoes. My client said funeral attire, but kind of creepy.
I had a client where it was just me, him, and then another tattooer was hanging out in my booth, and we were just quiet. I was tattooing, and then we heard this like lady voice come from like the back, and it slowly came to like above us and stopped, and we just all like looked at each other. It was like,
Plus, on the hearsay part, lots of stuff we heard that other people had experienced around here with the doors opening on their own volition or closing, and just a lot of paranormal activity.
So you think the shop is haunted?
I do think it is haunted, yes. I don't feel that it's one entity. That's just my personal opinion.
So you think the shop is haunted?
I do think it is haunted, yes. I don't.
At first I thought that was a person.
One
Hold on, let me see.
entity. That's just my personal opinion.
So you think the shop is haunted?
I do think it is haunted,
It's
yes.
just the curtain.
I don't feel that it's one entity.
That's crazy.
That's just my personal opinion.
And the curtain just moved behind you.
Ooh. Yeah. So, yeah.
I think it looked like the curtain just moved.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, the air isn't on, the heat didn't kick on.
Yeah.
It's quiet.
Let's stop and look, because
Okay.
I'm pretty sure we caught it.
After we stopped the camera to make sure I caught what I thought I saw, then while editing, I noticed something else that happened that neither of us even reacted to. You can hear 3 knocks come from somewhere in the room.
Yep. Crazy.
Crazy. Super crazy.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
When you're in a location like this where people are constantly having experiences, you get really quick with your phone. Start catching things. You know, you want to, you tell people these things happen, and it's great to hear stories, but without evidence, you lose half the people. I like to change my environment. I need to redecorate about every 3 months. We almost got it down to a science where every 3 months I'll completely change everything. So I would go in a lot of times at nighttime and just work in there by myself. And I got kind of almost a high off of people being there during the day, and then they come back the next day and the entire place has changed. Any paranormal studies will tell you it all, that when you move things around, you start doing construction, you're constantly...
That's 100% true. Because it was after my dad yanked the carpet like completely out of the house is when something started happening to me. Now, my mom and dad knew something was in the house and didn't want to scare me, but I don't know when that started. I know for a fact when they truly found out, my brother was 3, and supposedly in the middle of the night he runs into their room and tells them there's a monster in my room. Well, my dad goes into my brother's room and he sleeps in the bed and lets my brother be with my mom. Well, as my dad's in the room, all the toys like the sleeping Bert and Ernie and the Tickle Me Elmo and all these things just start going off. And then my dad said the first time he ever seen anything was in that house, because he had had other stuff happen to him in his life too. So did my grandpa. It's like all the males on my dad in my family have had something happen. But anyway, he said he thought my mom had come to my brother's door because she used to wear this dark bluish gray t-shirt and these dark like blue sweatpants to sleep in and stuff. And he said, and he could see, because my mom had like blonde hair, but you know the way that a light will cast at nighttime, that's what he's seen, and he thought it was her, and he waited like 20 minutes and she never came back, and he went into the bedroom and said, have you been up? And she said, no, I've been asleep the whole time. So, and that was the thing that would stay in my brother's room. My dad says something else is what got me, because what seems to mess with my brother was more malevolent, and whatever went after me was more demonic. I don't know. I'm going to lead to... I don't know if it was the same one. I don't know if they do different levels of things or what. All I do know is the very first time anything happened to me, I was immediately locked up. Couldn't move.
Stirring up the energy. And looking back now, that's so funny because I was doing it, well, every 3 months. At nighttime when I was doing this, I'd constantly try to go live on my phone or grab my phone. Some nights I would go live on my phone and I'd catch spirits, and people that were actively watching me live would hear the spirits, and then when you play back the video the next day, nothing. It was almost like a joke. If you were there to experience it, you got to. If you weren't, you didn't. But on occasion, I was fast enough with my phone to catch a couple things. The doors in the hallway have always been something that people have heard close, open, move. That bathroom in particular over there had, people always had experiences in that bathroom, but one night I was able to capture what I heard. I was walking out the door, it's probably around 3 o'clock in the morning, and I hear the door rush open, so being quick with my phone, I caught this.
Okay.
Now, what door was it? I didn't see like a door open. But his phone was already out and running before the sound started. But he said he was fast enough with his phone. Maybe he heard something before he started. I don't know.
Goosebumps. I don't know if that picked up. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm out of here.
A lot of times when you have cameras, they go off After
Now, why would he be out of there? I mean, he's worked around it. He's been there, like, and obviously, if he's bringing in all this demonic stuff or all this, what is presumed to be haunted things, oh, and you work there daily, why would you leave because of it?
after there's movement.
Huh.
So rarely do you catch things on those type of cameras. But when you do, it's really awesome. The funeral fan, which I have right behind me right here, was part of the tour that we had in the back called The Dark Side of the Morgue. And one night on CCTV, I caught this guy scooting across the floor on its own.
This happens quick. This thing is incredibly moved to the left. Looks like about an inch or so. The thing weighs like 80 pounds. But as I kept watching the video, I noticed that the light shook, as indicated here. As if something was toying with it. But it
Okay, like for me, there's been one time I seen something physically come off the wall. Kind of how that mirror is hanging right there at my ex-wife's house. Damn, I was sitting on the couch. Her baby dad, her other kid's dad was there, and they were both sitting there with me. My kids are in the background, and the Lord's Prayer is hanging on the wall, and there's an end table at the end of the couch. But that prayer come off the wall and landed on me. And I remembered they were like, bro, you're cursed, brother, like something like that. But that's the thing that was in their house, which I can tell y'all about that, but I don't want to interrupt this too much. And my brother and my son, they were walking into my dad's house, and the piano, the key cover slammed down, and then the piano stool itself flipped over as them two and my dad come into the house. So that's the only, I had it happen to me once, and I know my brother and my son had told me about it happening to them. But that, in order for that to move, if it's 80 pounds, that means it would have had to be pushed on the floor, because otherwise, if it's pushed from the top, it's going to tilt. So, but I don't know how these things work. Yes, a demon could have done it, or a ghost, whatever, or like we always say, someone could have a string, or someone could be laying on the floor and we can't see them.
But it wasn't until I edited this actual video that I noticed it moves again. I don't think we would notice it moving even if we were in the room with it. Here's where it was when the video first started, and that's where it ended up at the end of the video.
We opened up that tour right before COVID. In fact, 2 days before COVID. On a Friday 13th party, we revealed it. And on the 15th of March 2020 is when the shop closed down. About a month later, my landlords came through the place to do whatever they were doing. And they opened the door to look in the salt room, and then they closed it. And right after they did that, something violently smacked the camera, as shown here.
Why does it look like it smacked it hard enough to make it go from black and white to in color? I mean, that's what I see. Was it someone smacking the camera to fix it? Again, this is just throwing out ways it can be disproven. Not saying it's false. It could 1,000% have happened, but it also 1,000% could have been faked.
Felipe's brother one time was at the Pyre Bar long after we started converting it over, when the tour was over, and he got hit in the back slightly with a hanging glass that has flat sides, and when watching the camera it actually flips over on his back, and things like that happen all the time, which is captured here.
It's flat.
But there's no movement you made right there that would make that move.
That's what I'm telling you, and I was like this much away from it. Like this much.
How much?
This much away from it.
This much?
Like, literally, I was that much
This
away from
far?
I find myself laughing a lot when something terrifying happens. Like, I'll just...
And see, I'm not one of those. I don't laugh. And real quick, can someone please tell me, where did people shaking because they're scared start happening? Now, I know if you're cold, you shake. It's your body's reaction. But being scared, you don't shake unless you're a 4-pound chihuahua. I mean, I see these videos where people are shaking, and it's like, one, if you're so scared, why are you still standing there? Why did you take your phone out and start to record? Two, why are you shaking? That drives me up the wall. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up.
Just laugh about it. In particular, I had a couple nights in the shop where, although I may have laughed, I am still terrified even thinking about it. One night before the tour was open back there, I was working in the circus room that I had, and I heard some blocks fall. I had a TV going off in what was soon to become the salt room, and the TV was sitting on this shelf that we had. I heard some sounds that I knew weren't the TV, and to describe how I did it, I grabbed my phone and I started recording, but I held it like this and walked up to the door and just kind of did this and then looked back at my phone like that to try to catch it. I didn't go in there and film it like this.
Okay, hold on. There's something wrong with that description. And he just, now he might have just jumped, reacting to it. But he said he took his phone and he walked and stuck his hand out. But he walked around the corner like he's standing there and then startled backwards. Now, he's got cameras set up around this house. Why isn't there a camera of him doing like this? I'm just curious.
Okay, so
we have a haunted doll called the...
Now, he said he went like this and looked back. Did any of that map out? It didn't map out to me.
Premonition doll. And that doll I had just sitting in a normal little rocking chair, little toy kid rocking chair. And I captured, unbelievably, as you can see, the amount of energy that would take to get a doll to rock. To not only rock the chair, but to rock her forward, because she's sitting...
Unless you set it in the chair with it sitting forward, took a string or had someone tap it. What if you rocked it hard enough, walked out of the room, cut on your camera, step back, and it'll still be rocking and the doll will be leaning forward? See, this is what I mean. This is all can be said it's real, but it also can be done fake. Not saying it is fake, but it can definitely be done. And y'all know it too.
Forward in the chair like this. And what kills me about that video in particular, what still gives me the creeps today when I watch it, it isn't the fact that it's the doll rocking in the chair. It's a few seconds later I go back into the room to see it with the camera and realize that the doll has completely set.
Okay, if he's about to say if it's set back, one, why did he cut his camera off? Because you've seen his camera started to turn around after he had videoed that. Why didn't he keep the camera on till he went back? And show the rest of the room that no one's in there. Since he's showing this as a documentary, it's true. What I'm kind of getting the vibes on is some of this actually happened and some of it is being done to make it greater than what it is. Not saying it is 100%, but that's just kind of how I'm getting.
Dead still, and she just lumped forward in the chair like that.
Now, he said a minute ago he walked and stuck his arm out. Why didn't he do that then? Because both times seems like you're just walking up with the phone in your hand. But no, the doll's still leaning forward. It's not leaning back. It's just sitting still. So, what was his whole thing about? It takes a lot of force. Yeah, okay. Ooh. That doll looks to be porcelain. And you know how heavy some of these older dolls are. If that rocking chair rocked hard enough to knock the doll forward, tell me that thing wouldn't flip out of that chair. I mean, maybe it won't. Maybe the legs are long enough to where it can't it didn't have enough to flip it out. But just saying.
And your body's one of the most amazing instruments you have.
That's true.
Although that can get you in trouble if you're not self-aware of your situations and who you are and how you're reacting to things. That night, I felt that whatever I had experienced rocking that doll was on me. It wasn't by the doll anymore. So I don't know if it...
Dude, if any of you guys have ever felt a spider web on you, and there's no spider web actually there, that is 100%. That is signs of a demon. Everything I've ever heard, and I had that happen in my dad's house multiple times. I mean, it just feels like my face would be covered in... Wow, that I am getting chills on thinking about that, because that shit...
If it was the doll, if something moved the doll, if the doll itself is haunted, or they were just playing with a toy. I'm not sure. That's the thing about the unknown, is that it's unknown. I do remember when I went home that night, I was exhausted, completely drained. I remember being very agitated. I caught gold, according to the paranormal, but for me,
And you also shook that damn camera the way I can't stand.
I was not pleased. I still had to work there, you know.
But you walked up with the phone out.
That wasn't, surprisingly though, that wasn't the most terrifying.
You went there because you thought something was happening. Then you see that if something is happening like you thought, and you... I don't fucking get
night
it.
that I've had at the booth. Once again, one night where I was rearranging everything, I heard some sounds come from the back. Same old story. Well, you grab your phone and you go back to investigate. And I did. And ironically, half the time, as it always goes, right? You pull your phone out to start filming.
No, I don't. Whenever something like that's happened, I don't. But I also...
Turn on.
I also don't buy and collect haunted things that are supposedly have a demon or a spirit attached to it. That is not something I'm going to do. I'm not going to bring it to my work, and I'm not going to bring it to my house. Period. Because you know what? They're put, well, a lot of times, especially Dibbit boxes, they are put there to contain something that you don't want around you. Why you're going to collect it around yourself is either for attention, fame, or stupidity. One of the three.
On the camera and everybody gets shot. And that was what was happening that night. And I think that's what made this so scary for me. It's the fact that it wasn't just I caught this thing flying across the room. It was the fact that nothing else was happening. I heard something and then I heard nothing.
I'd shoot that dog.
And then for it to come out of nowhere, it was an ultimate shock. This spoon in particular is what I'm talking about. This is an insane asylum spoon from Mansfield State Hospital. This guy was sitting on a gynecology table, and you'll see in the video here where as I'm walking through, you can see that this is sitting on the gynecology table right there. And only a couple seconds later, this happened.
Are you in here?
Now, I'll play it. What I was about to say is, why didn't he show the spoon in the room and no one else? Like, you know, if he said, you'll see the spoon sitting on the table, on the gynecology table, and then this happens. And yet you start off where you're panning down a hallway or whatever it was. It has nothing to do with the spoon.
Hello? What am I missing here?
Your other camera.
I have pure goosebumps.
I don't think you do. I don't see it. And
That's...
well, one, you didn't need to drop it. You know the spoon wasn't supposed to be on the floor.
That's not cool.
And now you're gonna get loud and say, that's not cool. I can't wait to post this.
That is not cool. This was in the salt. Move it again.
One thing that I found later when I was watching the video that kind of freaked me out is you'll notice the door on the glass case behind it with what we call cowtail or haunted clown doll. If you look at the door, it was against the wall. After the spoon had moved, the door is now almost wedged against the gynecology table. I don't know what scares me more is did that spoon go over the wall or did it go out the door and then down the hallway?
Hold on.
But if you look, regardless, when I turn around after I heard the crash, you can still see quickly the spoon ricocheting off the floor.
Okay, here's my question. Why couldn't you have thrown the spoon while you're holding the camera not looking that way? Why couldn't you have done that? And the whole door about the glass door? Fact of the matter is, you never showed us the door before the spoon flew. You never showed us the door moving. You've only showed us 2 separate clips of where the door is open and then the door is moved. So your friend could have thrown it, and when they did it, they bumped into the door, which made it go shut, and then they got out of the way before you went and picked up the spoon and dropped it again while they're getting out. I mean, there's so many things that could have been there, especially for a place that is deliberately made to make a documentary. You have cameras mounted on the walls and stuff, and the only time those cameras are being shown is when something magically happens, and while you're looking at the camera, we still don't know. Like, why would you go through your entire camera, sit there all day long to see where it gets smacked, unless the color was out and you walked up and smack it to knock it back in? I'm leaning towards some of this is real, but a lot of this is exaggerated and faked. And you notice, everyone else has a story about it, and when multiple people are around and say that they just heard something, they have evidence of that and it's on recording. But when it's him by himself, it's where you don't get the whole story.
I wanted to have a gothic history tour that delved into the darker side.
He wanted fame.
Of our histories. But it slowly became, on its own accord, a supernatural type tour where half the tour
exactly
ended up
what you wanted
in the room that we called the salt room. Now the reason why we called it the salt room is because it was blessed with salt, and I put a ring of salt around all the items, and then when we would get an item donated or discover another one, we would put it inside the salt. The salt was never there to protect anybody. That was something that I let people just kind of run with when they did tours. It was there to give sanctuary and protection for them.
Okay. It's not there to protect any of your co-workers or friends. It's not there to protect anybody. But then you also, in the same sentence, say it's there to protect them, meaning the demonic spirits and or the ghosts. That's who you're worried about. Fuck your friends, fuck your co-workers. So far, that's the gist I'm getting. Fuck them. I didn't put that there to keep them safe. I put it there so we don't hurt the thing that we can't see, even though they can see us.
Against us disrespecting their items. And it was all about respect. What we would do is we'd have a spirit box in there and we would allow you to talk. The spirit box would call names. But once again, when you're catching evidence and you catch such a high caliber of evidence, everything else just starts kind of paling in comparison. So
far your high caliber of evidence seems to only be you showing part of the clips.
The intelligence that would come through the spirit box sometimes would be downright impressive.
These spirit boxes, now I've watched a whole lot of ghost shows and I've seen a lot of them, and sometimes, yes, it is very striking and very, very, sometimes it's spot on. But at the same time, there's only a certain amount of word banks that, there's only so many words that can be said. I guarantee you, if you go watch a video, you will hear a box say, shit, I'm trying to think of one right now. I just went completely blank. But anyway, it just seems like every one of them say very similar things. Or the exact same,
One
just
time I got a
in
necklace
different orders.
donated to me from a gal in Ohio that she believed was cursed. It's an 1800s human skull inside the amulet. And when she sent it to me, she sent it to me in a box, like a book box. And she just didn't even look in the box. She just sent the box. So I brought the box into the studio, and the first time I ever saw the necklace, I saw on camera with the spirit box going. And this is the evidence I caught when we did that.
Oh, he's talking about one of the, it's not, well, yeah, it is a spirit box. I was thinking of the Ovulus type thing.
Here's the necklace.
Yeah.
Now, my son and I were the ones that were in the room while this was going on. And the thing that I find fascinating and impressive, the most impressive about this, is that not only was it one voice the entire time, but that's one voice over two different interactions. And that's one voice over many AM radio stations.
Here's the, damn it, I just now thought of this. So, all right, that was a voice of something saying that through one of those. But how do I know it wasn't said a week before when someone was asking something else, or it just randomly said beautiful and you had recorded it, hit play, then you present the box at the exact time that you know it's going to say beautiful, therefore making it seem like, not saying he did that, but he could.
Frequencies going backwards.
Would you like me to place it on this glass instead? Would you like me to place it on this glass instead?
I don't know how you explain that. How many spirits are in the room? 2. And it's easy to pick out 2. So when it was actual words going over it, I actually really, that's what I was after. That's where I started talking about the caliber of evidence. Another thing that it would do a lot is called names. The power of a name is impressive. I learned that from my father. It makes sense if you're out somewhere, if you're in public at the store, and someone yells out your name, you're going to turn around. If I'm out in public and someone goes, Adam, I'm going to look, right, as you would. Someone yells Bob, I'm going to keep going. Or
I don't know, I have a tendency to look anyway just to see who the hell is yelling someone's name out.
tour guide, Kaylee, was awesome and constantly back there. And she would be one of the ones that would go back and just talk on the spirit box. And we were in there one night and asked for her name, and I believe that we caught that.
Thank you. Sounded like thank you. How many are back here right now? 7. 7.
Do you remember my name?
Did you say Kaylee?
I don't know if I was expecting it to, and so I was assuming, but it got
It still keeps sounding like the same voice.
The thing I find kind of fascinating about that is that she actually changed her name. So she goes by Raven now. But at the time of the tours, she was Kaylee. I'll have to ask her, but to this day, if I were to yell Kaylee at her in public, I bet she'd look back. So what do? When you believe a bunch of things are attached, you just can't simply get rid of it. You don't head to the local Goodwill and just drop it off and say, better luck next time. You can't sell it.
Well, you
So
got
I
it.
ended up packing up the entire location of the salt room and bringing it over to this house, which for years.
But you could have sold it, but you didn't because you're trying to make something out of it.
We just called Walter's house. We call it the salt house because of that. All the items from the salt room aren't behind salt anymore. They're
So, fuck them. They don't have protection now. But I'm not meaning it like that. I'm just saying earlier he said it was to protect them for their sanctuary. But now it's in your house. I don't know how many kids you got, but I guess everybody's just fine and dandy. I don't know. I don't really ride with that. If I had the option to not have my kids around it, I'd have taken everything I could to get them out of it. But the house they were living in had something there. But I was living there because I didn't have a place to stay. When my ex-wife, she was with her other baby daddy, the one after my kids.
they're freely sitting around all over the house. So in a way, for me, the salt house is kind of where this story really begins.
Salt House was built in 1910. It was a home to 3 different families. The family that built it, Walter's family, and after he passed, my family. Walter died December 17, 2003. He was 92 years old. Shortly after, my mother, Jane, moved in. It's going to take 2 days to upload this video. This is going to be my longest video. No one has died in the house that we know of.
I moved in about early 2000s. I was working for my dad as a bail agent, and we had a dear old friend that lived in this house named Walter, and he'd lived here his entire life, never got married, never had kids, and he was very persnickety, but he would only let us come in and help him. And we took care of him till he passed away, and then he left the house to my dad, and we worked literally across the street. So I ended up coming here and staying and getting this house from my dad, and I lived here for a long time. After I first moved in, it took about a week or so before I had my first experience. And it felt like something was following me. And it was always downstairs in this room right here, actually.
Okay, so they had experiences in the house before any of those objects were brought in.
This room was always the creepiest. This room and then the room right off of this room were the creepiest room.
I'm curious, how long did the house sit empty? Because a lot of times it does seem, because like my dad's house, elderly lady had passed away there, and I know that house sat on the market for at least a year, because at the time my best friend, who's now deceased and passed away, but he lived next door to it, and actually he killed one of our mutual friends by accident next door to my dad's house. And anyhow, it just seems like a lot of places that end up vacant, that's when a negative energy moves in.
Rooms, to me, for a long time. But then you started hearing things walking up and down the stairs or things like that. So then everybody was scared of the upstairs more than they were the down. I think I was the only one that really felt scared down here.
My first experience of the house was walking in, seeing the stairway. And that's what scared me to death. For some reason...
I'll tell you, damn, going down in my dad's basement, cinder block walls, and like, as you're going, man, the washer and dryer was all the way down around the corner in this little tiny room off to the side. And then one of the water pipes had messed up upstairs in the shower. So the only way you could take a shower is go downstairs, cut on the water, then go back upstairs, take your shower, then go back down and cut it off. And my brother said he wouldn't take a shower without my dad being at the house. Now, the water pipes had never messed up when I was there. And the first 2 times I lived at my dad's house, I stayed in the basement. But after I got pinned down, once I moved out of it, I mean, like, The second time I moved in there, I did live down there for a little while, but I moved upstairs. I didn't like being down there.
For some reason, I was never comfortable in that house with the stairs. I've heard things on the stairs. I've heard, back in the old days, you know, the little shoes the women wore, the little stocky heel? That's what got me. As soon as I heard the heels go downstairs, I knew what kind of shoe they were. Back in 1930 or something, you know. I've heard that go up and down the stairs several times.
My mom stayed downstairs in there, and one night she thought we were messing with her and shaking the doors. Somebody's just like jerking the doors, and she got all mad and opened the door, and there was nobody out here at all. So she was freaked out about that.
Yeah, Grandma called me up one night and was yelling at me, telling me, you know, stop messing with these doors. And we're like, we're not even home, you know?
My scariest time at the house, I was in my bedroom. My bedroom was just off of the dining room and the kitchen, and then the downstairs. I was in that room, and the room had these great big, huge, tall wooden doors. Here, I got wooden doors. And I mean, I'm reliving this again. Not a regular bedroom door, you know what I'm saying? Just not one door. And I would shut those doors if I was home by myself. One night, I was watching TV, and these doors was shaking violently, like somebody was trying their best to get in. It wasn't locked, but they were just shaking both doors. That scared everything out of me.
I bet.
So that's when I called my daughter that worked nights to get home now.
Yep.
I wasn't moving. You know, I was.
Oh, when I got pinned, I'm gonna tell you now. When it let go of me, I about rolled off the bed, but I spotted my clothes. They were sitting on the floor about 2 feet away from that bed. As soon as I spotted them, I threw them things on and I jetted out that house. I sat in my ex-wife's work parking lot until she got off work, because I would not go back in that house until someone was with me, because I wasn't going to get locked up again and nobody be there to see that I'm stuck. Nope.
I was just stuck right there in that bedroom, not knowing on the other side who was trying to get in or get out or whatever, you know. That was the scariest night I think I've ever spent. There.
She got tormented worse in this house than anybody, I think. I didn't like her. Didn't like Patty.
Daytime, I felt fine, except the time I took a bath.
Yeah.
And heard that. That was the first daytime thing.
I didn't, at my dad's house, the bathroom was very uncomfortable. The one that was upstairs, it always felt like somebody was watching, and he had the glass sliding doors on it. And no matter when you took a shower, it felt like somebody was standing there. And I can't say it felt like a man or a woman. It just felt like something was there. And I hated when I would be home during the daytime by myself, because I worked at restaurants and afternoons/nights. So all day I'd be by myself, and then I wouldn't get home till everybody's asleep. But in the daytime, I hated taking showers because I knew no one else was in the house. I swear you would hear noises, and it just felt like somebody was watching you.
Thing.
Being upstairs, and it would sound like somebody came through the back door with groceries or something, had like rattling and footsteps and everything, and you'd yell. And
oh, I did have that happen. I forgot to tell you about that. When I lived upstairs at my dad's house, I was in the room, and I swear I heard my dad and my brother talking, and it was roughly 3:30 in the afternoon, and my dad usually got home around 4, but sometimes he got home earlier. But I swear I heard them, and I just laid there and I waited, and it got quiet. Well, then I hear them come in again, and I decided to get up, and I go out there, and I'm like, hey, where did y'all go after y'all come home? I was like, where'd y'all go? And he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, didn't you come home like 30 some minutes ago? And I heard y'all carrying grocery bags. That's what reminded me of it. But I swear they were in the house, but they said they never come home.
nobody would be here. That happened quite a bit in this house.
I went up there to take a bath. It was daylight. And I was in the tub, and I heard heavy footsteps coming up the stairs. And you know the bags you get from Walmart, the plastic bags? I could hear those together, like you carried a bunch of bags upstairs. And I yelled out and I said, hello? Hello? No sound. So I thought, all right, they're messing with me. So I end up getting out of the tub, drying off, looking out the window. The cars weren't home. I was in the house by myself.
I believe her.
Half the time when I was taking a bath, I almost had to mentally prepare myself for like a non-enjoyable experience. It's one of those fears, you being messed with while you're vulnerable. I will hear walking, like pacing, sounding like back and forth in this hallway, like something would mess with the door, and I'd ask the kids like if it were them, and they're like, no, like what are you talking about?
I guess who didn't go to the bathroom and take baths anymore. I took showers downstairs. I wouldn't go up there again. The upstairs was
Give me
creepy
2
anyway.
seconds, guys.
I just finally started thinking, oh well, it's just you guys. They don't take up much space.
First thing that I ever had happen to me here, I was 16 years old. I lived in Nebraska, so I'd come out here on vacation. And shortly after I arrived, I was downstairs and I walked in the back door and walked into the living room, and I heard Mom upstairs in the bathroom down the hall over here bathing. And I was like, Mom!
Alright, I'm back.
Ma'am! Like, hey!
Go get me
And
a Snickers
she
ice
didn't
cream bar.
respond, so I was like, Mom! I got louder, All of a sudden, Mom comes in the back door. She's like, who are you yelling at? I'm like, oh, I thought you were upstairs bathing. I was like, well, who's up there? And she goes, no one's up there. I'm like, I heard the loofah, or like the washcloth, I guess, at the time, and the water, and she was humming like,
How do you hear the loofah, though?
Water drip.
Oh, okay.
Tub was bone dry. She goes, it's like that here, so just kind of shrugged it off, and I think we just went on with our day.
Yeah, one day I was not even in the house, and Adam was looking up the stairs, yelling for me because he heard me up there, and it wasn't me. There was nobody up there. Every night when I would go to sleep, my door would seem like it would move a little bit. So I would open the door, and I would reach my head out and say, I'm going to sleep, have a good night. And then I'd shut the door real tight, and then I'd feel fine.
Happened all the time. And I said, who are you talking to? She said, my man that came to get doctor every night. And I thought, now that's not the way I would have acted. I wouldn't have told him good night,
I had the art gallery here, and I paint flat anyway, so there was a pool table in that dining room, and I laid down my painting on the pool table so I could stand and paint. And one night I was standing there, like physically just painting, and I saw a woman's foot step right between my legs. It was a nude leg and a foot.
That would creep me the fuck out if I seen that.
I think I've ever turned around that fast in my entire life.
But he didn't try to pull his phone out, I see.
And there was no one in the room.
One time we had a pool table in this room, and I remember looking up in the mirror above the fireplace, and it looked like there was a lady in a white dress standing by the door in the living room, and I looked around and there was nothing there. But that's all I ever saw of a person or anything down here.
I think I got a glimpse of somebody in that one time. I see her standing back there, like she was standing watching people play pool. I don't know. Just looked like a lady with light hair. That's the only time I've seen anything.
That was the only thing that I got creeped out about, was this dining room. And if it was dark, I'd run through to the kitchen. I don't know why. That's why I always figured this was the funeral area. But I ended up just keeping a light on all the time, so it didn't feel scary anymore. But I had lights all over this house when I lived here. But yeah, I definitely didn't want to walk through this room in the dark.
Mom might be onto something with it downstairs being a little bit more active. We would experience things all over the house, but mainly upstairs. But now that I work here, I guess I just never really noticed till I'm sitting stationary tattooing somebody how active that
Sorry, I had to spray my dog. She was getting loud snoring.
dining room area really is. And my tattoo booth has been many things for me. Before that, it was my recording studio. It was a movie memorabilia room for a while.
We also made this room our bedroom at one point, and it was very brief because we were being messed with a lot in our sleep. So we set up a camera to see if anything was going on while we slept. And the night we did, we actually caught this anomaly next to Jackie's bedside.
Oh yeah,
which
fuck
later
that.
on I can kind of guess the same entity that was always kind of on Jackie's bedside as opposed to my bedside.
Yeah, that don't look like dust. That looks like an orb of some sort. So yeah, that right there. See how he's got cameras there? That's what I'm talking about. Where's the ones when he's all by himself?
We relocated back upstairs shortly after this.
Back in the day, they would do funerals in your house, and this house has like 3 rooms that could be parlor, visiting, 4 areas really that could be. So we always figured the room off to the dining room is the one where they kept the casket at. And I don't know if that's true, but I really think it is.
Yeah, but the person didn't die there. The spirit would either already be gone, and if it was following their body, I don't know why it wouldn't follow it to the graveyard. I don't know. I really don't know. That's the thing about ghosts and demons. Like, you don't know. We can't see it. There's no... Other than the Bible, there's really no other direction.
It's got the double doors, and then you've got another door so people could file through it. I think it really was the funeral room in this house. But that was typical back then.
While we were playing there, it wasn't really that crazy. I think the only thing I can remember when we were actually playing was I always got that sulfur smell, and I would be the only one.
That is true. That sulfur smell, yeah, that's 99% of the time. That's 1,000% demon then.
And if I remember right, we practiced in that one room. It was like that middle.
Yeah, the old funeral room.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and it was either my drums were in the corner or the back wall, and I always smelled that smell all the time. I'd be like, "You guys smell that?" And they'd be like, "No." Nobody would smell it, but constantly I would smell it like all the time.
Not only have I seen.
Usually everyone else can also smell it. Maybe they should have come to where you were at. I mean, they may not have smelt it in their part of the room, but usually if one person can smell it and someone is standing near them, they can smell it too.
I've seen things, but I've smelled things before, and specifically only in the booth, like
I've had
somewhere in
that
between like rotten meat and like eggs, sulfury kind of smell, but never one over the other. It's like they both meet in the middle and create this just very unique smell. But it's not a smell that like lingers for even minutes. It's like a smell that lingers for like seconds, and then it's just kind of gone.
And that was the only thing that really happened until you bought this place and you moved out of it, and we went back to shoot the City Lights video.
Why you got horns?
And we shot
on
the
your...
video in that same room, and the house was empty. We were talking about the old.
I take it he's one of those like he's got horns on his damn headphones, so he's into the demons and like I don't care for that shit because there's nothing positive that comes out of it. And if you're looking for money and fame, that is one of the that's a deadly sin. One of the deadly sins is greed.
The old man that used to live there, I believe, and we started hearing random stuff. But what was really crazy was the next day, because we weren't, we were literally just there for a minute.
It was like 9:30 in the morning, by the way.
Yeah, early,
full-blown sunshine. Yeah, it wasn't nighttime. It was
not
something
creepy, nothing at all. And was it the kitchen door or the back door? And it just slammed. And I mean, not like not like a normal just slam the door. I mean, it was a slam. Like, it was almost like you reacted to it like an explosion. Severe force that shut that door that day.
Yeah, that was extreme poltergeist.
That was wild.
This was the band room, and I would be kind of right here that was my general spot for playing guitar. You know, it was always cold in here in winter time, at least, you know, before all the gear got turned on. And as the hoodie would be on, I would feel that very distinctive pull on the hood of my hoodie, where just kind of like feel you kind of jerk you back just slightly, and I'd feel like taps on the back of the shoulder.
I want to know what the house was before Walter lived there.
Yeah.
Me too, Grandma. Me too. And that is why I went to the basement of the Masonic Temple. I went to the private rooms in the library. I scoured the internet. Since 1910, when they built the house, I can find no history that would indicate anything paranormal or anything that would give us any of the activity that we experience today. Oh,
this man literally went into the library, set a camera up, walked away to film himself coming around the corner to look surprised.
wait. Interesting enough, there was a book I did find
I can
that talked
read.
about a huge cemetery that was relocated over 140 years ago right in this area. And, of course, like a Hollywood plot, they left most of the bodies and, you know, a lot of the gravestones were forgotten, used as cornerstones in people's houses or front doorsteps or, I mean, Cornerstones, and I didn't know that.
But this is clump of trees. Tree near our Perk Merckx, the first cemetery in Franklin. George Eleanor King sold this plot of ground to the city in 1820 for $12. More pioneers were buried until Greenlawn come into being in 1845. The first burial ground, called Pioneer Cemetery, in later years was utilized as a graveyard almost 140 years ago, and was at one time much larger than it is now. As many graves were moved to Greenlawn, some stones were moved, some just disappeared to be found as doorsteps or in other uses. Many graves were forgotten altogether. Further information on this topic may be found in Johnson County Cemetery records compiled 1929 to 1933 by Ruth Trout. I can't say that name. Copies of the records found in Franklin, blah, 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 and it doesn't look at 100. Made a county-wide search of all burial grounds in existence at that time and was able to locate 149 places since 1933. Many graveyards have something and forgotten.
Feel free to pause and read the page.
Look at there.
So, I mean, there is
My
that,
bad.
Grandma.
He was a sweet old man, but he also knew about the house, I think. Because he said the upstairs there's always noise and things up there, always.
So he talked to you about it?
Talked to Jane about it.
He was about 90, in his 90s. He used to be a band teacher, but he was very strange. No wife, no kids. Lived here literally since he was like 2 or 3 years old, little kid.
And number one,
that's a long
They
time.
wasn't sure that he would let me in the house. He let nobody in the house. So, but he was quite sweet, when I went in there.
I met Walter when I was a kid. When my mom would come over and take care of him, I would just sit in the car pretty much every time. But one time I was able to walk in the door and actually meet him and stuff, which I remember was a pretty big deal. And he was nice, and he just immediately asked me if I wanted to hear him play music. So he had a bunch of trumpets and instruments, and he whipped out his instruments and just started blaring some brass. That's all I really remember of him. He was a nice guy. The house was old and just an old house, I do remember newspaper articles and things taped up all over the walls and stuff, but he just kind of looked like a nice old shut-in kind of guy.
This house was known as Walter's creepy house. It was the creepy old Walter. He was mean. And before we started taking care of him, the whole outside of the house was like gray and chipped paint. It looked like a haunted house. It looked terrible. It was definitely in its original state from 100 years ago. I think it was the original curtains.
While making this, I found out that Grandpa actually got asked to take care of Walter when he was in his late 80s. So he wasn't an old family friend. We met him at the end of his life. My grandpa is a man of great importance to a lot of people. And so when one of his good friends was passing away, he asked Grandpa to take over his estate and basically watch over Walter because he was no longer going to be here to do so. So that means we didn't know who Walter was at all for 80-something years. And one night, my grandpa came over here and he was unconscious on the floor. So, of course, he called the authorities, you know, and firemen show up and everything. And they see the state of the house. Like, you can't live here. You're going to have to let me come in and fix the house. The bathrooms didn't work. He would take his stools and throw it out on the back porch, like into the yard. So, yeah, they just pulled the truck up to the back porch and just started chucking things. And one of the stories my grandpa shared with me is there was a bed next to Walter's bed, like a couch type futon thing. And he raised it up, and underneath was a vacuum cleaner. And Walter said, I haven't seen that thing in 30 years. That gives you kind of an idea, trying to paint a picture for you, the state of the house. He hadn't seen his vacuum in 30 years.
He didn't have much furniture downstairs or anything.
The house had no furnishings except his bed. I think he had a chair in there maybe.
I was 12 years old. I remember when I came in here, it was just a bunch of stacks of newspapers and stuff everywhere. That's really all I remember about when he lived here.
Just kind of stayed in this room right here.
And I think that the upstairs maybe was closed off at one point in time. Wonder why.
You always wonder.
Maybe he had an issue whenever he lived there. If it was all shut off, and yet most didn't like being upstairs, but then there's the one room downstairs, so, but maybe he had issues also.
Wonder why would they keep the upstairs closed? Why would they not go up the stairs? And then when you found the kid,
Well, I mean, also, if he's an older man, he also may not want to walk upstairs. He might have got that, he lived there since he was younger, or 3, you said, so that's 80 years of living there. And, he didn't want to sell it as a family thing. He didn't have kids. He didn't have a wife, which I'm sure at some point growing up, he probably thought he would have those, I would think. But then again, maybe not. But he wasn't going to sell the house and give it to someone else. It was his family's. He grew up in it. Why would you ever move? So I totally see where he's coming from. But it kind of makes you wonder, if he lived there since he was 3, you would have thought just one of his family members would have passed away in the house, but they say from what they know, no one did.
the kitchen, and it just felt creepy.
Let me explain. This room that I'm currently in right now, we call Nora's room because it was my daughter's room. But this room was a kitchen. There was still a calendar set up on the wall. There was a can opener up on the wall between the door jambs, a table right here. So picture in the 50s this being made up as a kitchen, and then one day someone just closed the door and time capsuled it. 4 bedrooms upstairs and a full bath, just completely blocked off since the mid-1900s. It is a lot of house for one guy. I mean, you have the upstairs and then the downstairs, and then of course you have the basement.
That basement was creepy because it was just nothing but a dirt
That's
floor.
what I say to basements.
And wasn't livable, to stay down there or anything. But yeah.
Well, I think Walter might have been, I don't know how to put it, but maybe.
Because at my dad's house, what it was is originally, okay, the basement, that went into what was supposed to be a garage. So you got the link to the house, and part of it's the washer and dryers, and then you got a kitchen sink that is in the garage part, and then a cinder block wall, and then on the other side of the cinder block wall they furnished that out and had a wood stove, carpeted and everything, and wood paneling up. My dad put gas heat down there, so had concrete floor on one side, carpet on the other side, a kitchen sink, You just didn't have a bathroom down there. But originally it was made to be a carport. And they built a wall towards the back to where a car could barely fit in there now. But, yeah, a car would fit in there. Just barely, though. It'd be tight. Really, that wall needed to be extended out another foot or two to make it where you could pull in easy. But there was no way to get from where they put that wall to the finished side. You had to go around the house. So, but anyhow, when I seen the cinder block walls down there and the steps, that reminds me of my dad's house, except for the floor was concrete and carpet.
Maybe a serial killer or something, because the way he kept the upstairs boarded up too, like he had somebody.
But why would he go
boarded
up there? What's the point? It's just
Why would
him.
he board up a perfectly good living area?
Or he had
I
something
never
messing with
met
him up there and he didn't like
but I
it
heard
either.
It was kind of strange.
He wanted whatever was up there to stay up there.
Thank you.
A lot
There we
of
go.
people say Walter was a serial killer and somehow the bodies are buried around here, or he's done something with them. But
Yeah, but it was also supposedly a cemetery too, right? Or even though it didn't ever see a map on it or how close the house is to where that cemetery was,
There
he
is
just
some
showed us the book
known
said
he did
something about a
serial killerish
cemetery.
things
Didn't
like
say anything about
put
his
up news
house.
articles on the wall.
I do remember the newspaper articles, though. Quite weird, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
He had a habit of taping everything up. Notes, newspaper articles, whatever. Everywhere you looked in this house, there was taped up articles. It kind of reminds you, I guess.
Wait a minute.
That's a
Okay.
little bit of a serial killer, but there's still remnants of tape from Walter on these that you can't get off.
I want to be clear when I say this. Walter was a war hero. He was in the 6th Infantry of World War II. He was the guy when his brothers were being shot down. He would be on the front lines pulling bodies off the field. I mean, this man has medals upon medals, which you can see here set up here as a memorial to him. He was a respected band teacher when he was a civilian. And he lived a very quiet life, obviously. But as far as what he had done, especially for this country, I want to make no mistake that he.
I'm gonna read that pen.
But as far as
Victory or death. Gotcha.
what he had done, especially for this country, I want to make no mistake that he was an absolute hero. I think where the disconnect happens between reality and fantasy with everybody, just us all trying to connect dots of why certain entities are in here. Ghosts have certain characteristics. So you just start kind of trying to form a pattern.
Me and my husband one time, he decided that there was a ghost in the basement.
Right here. This over here.
Well, I can almost tell you from experience, a lot of people don't use their basements, so it becomes a void, a place where negative energy could go. So I could 100% understand why he thinks that.
Is something spooky underneath there.
And there was a broken part of the concrete, and you could see dirt underneath. So next thing you know, we got sledgehammers, and we're down there breaking it up, trying to see if there's somebody buried.
We went about 2 or 3 inches down, and then we hit dirt, which was been normal. But then we started digging further.
Sorry.
And found another layer of concrete,
But we just ended up finding another layer of concrete. So.
which ain't normal. You don't put concrete, dirt, concrete.
Guys, I'm gonna let this keep
I'd say
playing. I'm gonna let my
busted
dogs
it
out
up,
real
you'd
quick.
probably find bone. That's when we started digging there. It got real cold down here.
Come on, Bit. Goodbye.
And then, so we got scared and was leaving. And as we was leaving, going up the stairs, this lady, if you ever seen the show Mama, looked just like her, but it was before Mama ever came out, so that didn't influence us. And that night,
sorry guys,
I left in my car.
Sorry about that. I had to let my dogs out real quick, and I'll get them back in a second.
I could feel it in my bones, something like inside me.
Over a decade ago, Jackie, Ron, and I were all in the basement taking photos, and I was sitting in a chair. In fact, the same chair that Ron is sitting in the video here. And she captured a woman standing behind me. I do not believe that this is dust pareidolia.
I see it.
Because all photos before and after this photo were clear. If you focus in the middle of the dark shape, you can see a
100%.
woman's face. And I tend to believe that this is the same woman that Ron said he saw that night in the basement.
Yeah, it's right there.
And when I got home at night,
Did y'all see those eyes, yo?
Saw that night in the basement.
Either it looks like sunken in eyes, or it's like them big black glasses that people used to wear back in like the 80s. But I 100% see the nose, the mouth, the sunken in eyes. I cannot tell if that is supposed to be hair or what, but I do see it. Do you guys see it? Let me know in the comments.
Basement.
and when I got home at night, that car started honking and stuff, and it did it for days. It run the battery down just honking. And the only way
I would have disconnected the horn.
I could get it to go away was I opened the doors on it and told it to leave, but then I think it came back here, and the thing that
That's
went up
odd.
the side of the wall there was the scariest I ever been in my life, and I've been to some pretty scary places and things, but
We stopped digging. If there is a body under there, we did not dig deep enough to get to it. And I didn't want to tear the floor up anymore. It's a historic home. Walter was very opinionated, was always worried that someone of color was going to get this house. And he'd tell me, please, just make sure that they don't get it. Because somehow, I don't know.
I mean, he was raised in a different era, and his family put their blood, sweat, and tears in it, whether it was paying for it or building it. Either way, they did what they did, and he was raised in a different time, and we won't know what that's like, so I don't judge him for that, because we're raised the way we are, and 50, 60, 80 years from now, they might think we're crazy.
I don't know. He just thought that someone of color was going to come after this house. He'd say, I'm a shut-in, and that's the way I like it.
I'm a
People around the
shut-in.
neighborhood used to talk about him being a creep. Just like staring at the window when they'd walk by, he'd be staring out the window at them.
Well, you do got to think, one, he's been in war, so he's got that part. It's a mental scar. But two, he's alone. He's always been alone. He's not going to have kids. He's not going to have a wife. Why was that? The house could have had something to do with part of it, but like they said, he's more of a quirky type of guy. He had his own little things, and that he might have been shy. There's a million things it could have been, but either way, he was alone. And so he sees people walking. One, no, he don't want them in his yard, because back when he was growing up, I'm sure the neighbors were a good bit of ways, and they didn't go tearing up people's yards and stuff and throwing trash in it. So when you see someone disrespecting what you consider your land and or your family's land, which I've never had that because I didn't have anything passed down to me, which I really wish we would have, but things went on in my life. But anyway, can't judge the man for what he's doing or why they're weird. For all we know is the war messed him up, and he knew it was best to be alone.
He definitely was a racist, extreme racist.
So picture coming by a house with shredded curtains, gray, old creepy guy standing in the window, coming on the front porch, yelling at you to get off his lawn and get away. It's like Stephen King didn't need anything.
Yeah, but all old people, that's even in hip-hop songs where they're talking about, you damn kids, get off my lawn. Because they don't want you on the property, man. And I get it. I own my property, and I don't want no one on it unless I tell them to be over here on it. You know? Respect people's area and stay off the property.
Anything else to write the perfect novel. He pretty much just gave him the plot. And then everyone's minds just kind of grew, and like a local hysteria kind of happened about this place. And I you almost wonder if that's what manifested everything,
I ain't one to get scared easy.
I'll be right back.
You
I'm
could
gonna
drop
grab
me
my
off on
dogs
the back
back in.
road, and I'd walk home and not be scared. Or you could drop me off in a cemetery, and I'd walk through it by myself. But this house has creeped me out many a times, and I've been actually scared where I stayed up all night and didn't sleep. My first experience was the baby crying upstairs.
You guys want to see my cat? This right here is Hannah. Yeah, it's my little buddy. Long story on that. I'll tell you about my 2 male cats with female names.
I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard a baby crying, and I knew there wasn't no baby.
That's one thing. Me and my friend used to ask each other, what would you do if? And I'm telling you now, one of the things we'd say, would you rather wake up and the ghost of an old lady or a small child be standing at the foot of your bed? Which one? You want an old lady or a little kid? Which one scares you more? Let me know in the comments on that. 2, if I heard a baby crying, man, that ain't cool, bruh.
So I went downstairs, and in the dining room, the closer I got, the louder it got. And then when I got in the dining room, it was quiet. Everything went quiet. I've heard it 3 or 4 times up there. The first time it freaked me out.
I'm laying in the bed and I'm trying to fall asleep and I hear a baby crying. And it doesn't sound like an older baby, it sounds like a little baby. So I get up to go see, because I'm thinking maybe it's Nora. I get up, I look around, she's just sound asleep, and so I just go back into the room.
This is one of those director moments for me where up until these tapings, I thought we were the only ones that experienced a baby crying in the house. It was so vivid and so loud. It was like an actual baby in the house.
We heard a baby crying, and we thought it was the neighbors. Maybe they had a baby that we didn't know about, and we went inside.
He kind of reminds me of my brother because he's younger, and I'm watching his hands, the way he's fidgeting, so either it's the camera or he's uncomfortable in that house.
We didn't think about it until the noise grew louder. And so we thought that was really weird. Maybe we left the TV on and for some reason there was a baby crying on the show. We walk into the living room and it's really loud. It's like we can feel the baby, like right here. We can hear it. We can almost touch it. I've only heard the crying once, and that was the only time that I've myself seen the baby or heard the baby. But it felt like I could almost reach out and pick it up. It's how real the crying sounded. It wasn't...
See, I tend to believe his family more than I have, what I said earlier about him. It just seems like he exaggerates some of the things, but his family seems like they're more spot on. But they don't have videos, but they don't need them. I actually believe what they're saying.
Distorted, and it didn't go away as soon as you get close to it, like in the movies. It was just there.
This one time, my brother was down for a visit with his wife.
Yeah, about 7 years ago, we were all visiting Texas.
And we were hanging out.
We're all sitting here watching TV.
And all of a sudden, we hear the back door close, and you can tell it's the back door because there's these bells that hang on it. So I heard that jingle.
There's bells on the doorknob.
We heard someone come in the house and walk around in the kitchen.
And we heard somebody put down like a bag, and you could hear shuffling of feet.
We kind of heard like people walking around because with the wooden floors, you can hear all of the, like every step.
And we thought, well, Adam must be home now. We thought maybe he was messing with us. So we just kind of sat there listening to these noises, these bangings in the kitchen area. It just waited until he got home.
He finally showed up for about, probably let's say 30 minutes later. And we asked him if he had come here and left. And then we hear something again. We hear like knocking in the kitchen.
When Adam finally got home, we were sitting there, and luckily the noises that we were hearing didn't stop. We decided let's do an investigation because obviously.
And Jackie's snapping pictures.
And Jackie was the only one that was recording that night on her phone.
And she was catching orbs like all around us.
I heard a noise in the kitchen.
And then we heard knocking from underneath like the kitchen where like the refrigerator is.
It sounded like someone was under the floor, hitting from
like that.
I think this is the point where we were hearing water running, and it wasn't like from the faucet. It sounded like, you know, whenever you're like you turn the sink on, you can hear the water in the walls, like the pipes.
Yeah. That's when we decided to go down the basement and check it all out. We go down there and we walk around a little bit. And then as we were walking back up, I looked from the bottom of the basement to the top of the stairs. There's like a little crawl space in the middle. And then I look and I see just water pouring out right there. And I was like, dude, Adam, you have a leak.
Looking back, we all felt like the house was making noises, so we would investigate. Because after we discovered that, everything stopped. Or so we thought.
Unfortunately, that was 7 years ago. All that footage is gone. The only footage that surprisingly survived is a video that I took of myself. I set up a camera tripod, used my cell phone, wrapped hair ties around it so it was like stay put, turned that bad boy on, and I got into bed and just let the cameras roll.
We went to bed and then woke up the next morning and Jackie was like, dude, I have to show y'all something. The video that Jackie
one in the bed
creeped me out.
Yeah.
You know, it was my first time actually seeing anything like that at all. Where you
And
could
at
actually
first
see.
you couldn't really tell until she zoomed in.
In this footage, to me, was this baby. A baby snuggling up to me in bed, watching television. See it just like kind of wiggle and like look up and then just get comfy. And
that right there is crazy. Thing is, demons do act like kids now. I don't know how demons work, but that could be a spirit of a child, you know, from the cemetery or whatever, or it could be a demon. There's no telling.
And just like it like pops its head in and out.
See, I don't know where her other hand is, but I don't think that's a hand.
So when I felt something to my right and I looked in that direction in the video, when
That was strange the way she turned her head. Like, it's almost like she seen something and followed it. Looked like she was tracking it, watch. Her eyes are dark right there, ain't they? I see her eyes glowing, but her eyes itself, they're dark. Okay. Oh, sorry.
right, and I looked in that direction in the video, when I look away, what I believe is the child leaving. See this bright green orb just flash one time, and that was it. The interesting thing about this orb is a lot of footage that I've caught, but especially during that night that I don't unfortunately have anymore, a green orb light was present. One thing that is very interesting about this video is that Adam and I have watched this video over and over and over again. We have shown it to people, but just recently we showed someone that we've never shown before, and it was on better equipment. So we were able to hear things that we've never, in like, I think it's like seven years, have ever heard. In the video, you could hear footsteps, which I never caught before. After discovering this, after all these years, it kind of sets a different tone for this video. Especially given my feelings on this house, it almost seems as though the baby is hiding, like using me for protection.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's interesting. All that is in the background and they're able to isolate it and bring it up that much. But it does make sense though. Hmm.
That's what I'm talking about.
Huh.
I would often see light orbs, is probably maybe the best word to describe it. And even our daughter would call them light bugs.
No, I only remember seeing light bugs, that's it. The only time I see them is in the day. That's the only time I remember seeing them.
And I'm like, what light bugs are you talking about? And it took a while for it to click in my brain that, oh, she's probably seeing the same things that I am, these orbs just...
It was a weird experience. I've always heard Adam and Jackie talking about stuff that happened, and I was kind of like, I don't know about that kind of stuff. But after that night and seeing that video, I was like, definitely got a new perspective.
Yeah.
It was...
I feel like a terrible father. And Jackie and I have spoken about it a few amount of times. We just feel like terrible parents. Mainly for Nora, I would say for myself, that this was her bedroom. It just seemed easier.
Now that I know that was his daughter's room, the one room downstairs that is most active. If you're going to make anyone live in it, it should have been you and your wife. But instead you put your little girl in there. And I got a daughter, and yeah, I got a son. And I'm going to tell you now, I had my son first, which was amazing. It's a once in a lifetime thing. But when I had my daughter, it was a different thing. I'd kill somebody for hurting her. And I almost almost did one time. I mean, dude got broke down. But yeah, I would never put my kids in that position on purpose. I'm going to have you living in a house that has things in it. And then on top of that, I'm going to start bringing stuff to the house. Which, granted, now I don't think they live there. So maybe he didn't have this stuff there whenever his kids were there. If that's the case, it's a little different. But still, you should have kept that room for you. If someone had to have it, you said there's 4 bedrooms upstairs. I don't understand why you would put your youngest, so far the youngest. I don't know how many kids he's got. I don't know if he's got 3. Because I think we've seen two sons. And then her, I don't know how many kids he's got, but my thing is, why would you put any of your kids in the most active room downstairs? It might be the most active room overall.
My brother's kid lived with my mom, and this was her room. So when we moved in, it was like, yeah, take your cousin's room. It's already a girly room. It makes sense. But being that this is the most active room in the house.
Oh, so it's the whole house. Yeah, he gave his youngest, or so far the youngest daughter, the most active room in the house. What part of that makes sense?
This little door behind me here. We never talked to Nora about anything supernatural here. Occurrences would happen with CJ. He was older, and he would bring it to us, and we would kind of talk. But I always kind of like.
Now my brother, he had the most active room in the house, but we didn't know that. And then once it happened to my brother, he no longer stayed in that room. His whole life, He did. See, I grew up in a one-bedroom trailer. I slept on the couch my whole life. Well, up until I was about 5 or 6, I slept in my parents' bedroom. Whenever they would be out in the living room watching TV, then they would move me out to the couch and they'd go to the bedroom. Well, then my brother, when stuff started messing with him, he started sleeping on the couch at my dad's house. Even though there was a second bedroom, there's a whole basement, which I wouldn't recommend him go to the basement anyway, because that's where I got. But fact of the matter is, my brother, up until he was 28 years old, lived with my dad and did not sleep in his room. He slept on the couch. My brother's 6'3". He was right at 300, but he's down at, he's lost a lot of weight, but I'm only 5'8". Anyhow, so, sorry, I just wanted to throw y'all a little bit about me in this.
Downplayed everything too, because they're your kids. But I mean, now we're just
that's
left
my
with,
point.
like, terrible stories, and like the night that CJ saw Nora get up out of the room here and go use the restroom, and he was waiting on her the whole time.
I see the girl walk to the bathroom. Of course, convenient timing. I need to go to the bathroom too. And I wait for her for what seems like 10 minutes, which she usually doesn't take this long.
It sounds just like what I was, or very similar to what my dad did when he thought he seen my mom in the hallway, and that she had walked down towards the kitchen and just never came back, and she was still in the bed.
So, me needing to go to the bathroom and running out of patience, I walk into the hallway, and I don't open the door completely. I just kind of like crack it open, and I talk to her through the crack. And I say, "Girl, I need to use the bathroom, hurry up." And I don't hear a response. She just wasn't in there.
Wait, did he say girl? Is that what he says? I thought it was his sister. Why wouldn't he?
And I don't hear a response. She just wasn't in there. So I think that maybe she snuck back in her room when I closed my eyes to wait. Like, that had to be it. So I check in Nora's bedroom to see if she actually got up. And as I check in Nora's bedroom, the wooden door in Nora's room, there was a woman. Like, I can't explain it, just a woman. All I saw was black, but I could tell it was a woman. She had a dress on, and she was just standing there in the corner. And Nora's bed was opposite of the doorway on the corner as well. And I feel bad for doing this, but I was afraid. I kind of just backed out of the room, and I left Nora in there, and I went to bed. But it was...
I feel bad for him because you can tell it bothers him. So, yeah.
It scared me. It was a full body. It was the body of a woman. And I couldn't explain it. I was in 6th grade, I'd say about 11, 12. And
yeah, that's way too young to have to deal with something like that. I was 18 when it happened to me, and I can tell you now, I didn't like it. I was sleeping with the Bible open and the TV on, preaching. Like, dude, I had to have a light. I would leave a light on, the Bible open on the nightstand beside me, and the TV was playing gospel. I'm dead serious on that.
And I feel bad for leaving Nora in there, but I did, and so I hid and ran away. Get shaken up. I hate that story.
See, he's taking it as he went and hid and ran away. But he probably didn't want to go wake his parents up over it, because either they wouldn't believe him, or he didn't want to bother them, and or he just wanted to get away from whatever that thing was. Granted, he hated leaving the sister there. Now my daughter, whenever I had to stay with my ex-wife and her baby's dad, I slept, there was like 2 living rooms in this big, it was one of the big double wides, and I was in the spare one, and I had my bed there and a couch there and my TV there. Well, I had slept out there that night, and I had thought I heard something walk through the house that night. Well, anyway, the next day, my wife's up getting the kids ready for school at 6 in the morning. She goes to open my daughter's room. My daughter throws the covers off of her, like she was already awake, and my wife asked her, she's like, what are you doing? I didn't get a chance to say your name. She's like, well, I needed to use the bathroom in the middle of the night, and when I opened my eyes, there was some black thing standing there with red eyes, and so she pulled the covers over her head and laid there awake the entire night. She did. And believe me, if you're that terrified, you're not even willing to scream or yell, even though the first thing I said is, why didn't you come get me? Because I was literally, you come out of that room and look to the right, that's where my bed was. That's all she had to do. But if there's something in your room that you don't know what the hell it is, and it's got red eye, I see why she stayed there, but at the same time, she was petrified. But I would have been in that room in a split second to get my daughter out of it. And I feel so bad. I mean, I didn't know that something, I didn't know anything of it, but it still makes you feel bad because it's like, I could have come help you, but I know where he's at, especially. Imagine being 11 dealing with that.
You what?
I hate that story. Oh, it's scary, dude. It scares the hell out of me.
Just like still?
Yeah, no, it shakes me up.
I know Nora had an experience of seeing the tall woman in a black dress.
I actually I didn't know that.
Well, no one knew until her interview.
Well, I haven't seen that yet, so I can't wait to see that.
In that door, it always creeped me out.
And you can tell that girl right there, she's locked in. She knows, like, she's got things to say and she can't wait to say it. I mean, just look, she's ready to go. Her brain is like, I got all of this. And my daughter was probably 8 or 9 whenever she had that happen to her. I don't know how old she is, but my daughter, I know she wasn't in her teenage years. She was probably 8, 9, maybe 10.
I never knew what was in there. Like, I didn't know if it was like imagination, but I would see it every day. So I don't think it's an imagination. I looked in there multiple times. Every time I looked in there, I would see a lady in a wedding dress, but it's all black. And it doesn't have the thing that goes over your face at all. And then sometimes I would see a kid in his bedroom. Sometimes I would see it in his bedroom. Sometimes I just see the bedroom. It does not make me believe that I'm imagining that because it looked way too real. Like, the bedroom looked really real. The lady and all
I'm sorry, but she's cute as a button. She is, and she's in it, boy.
black. It's like a shadow lady. Looks so real to me. Like, it was an actual lady that her whole entire body, it was like a spray paint black.
Yeah, that sounds like a straight up demon. That don't sound like just some old lady. No, this is something wearing all black. Skin is black. Everything is black. That is very, that, to me, and they had the smell of sulfur and stuff. I'm going to say that lady has a thing to do with probably the demonic,
All over her. The only thing I hear in that room is giggling. Or breathing.
That would be a demon acting as a child. What did she say? Hold on.
Breathing. From when the lady's there, I hear breathing, but when I see the kid in there, in the bedroom, I hear giggling. But when the kid's not in there, all I hear is breathe.
So when it's the lady, she only hears breathing. When it's the kid, she hears giggling. But she doesn't see him at the same time?
I woke up from the kid giggling really loudly. I don't know if you heard it, or a brother heard it, or a mom heard it, but I heard loud giggling.
I want to reiterate that we never talked to Nora about any of this at all. Let me display the background for you guys here. I'm standing in her bedroom that she currently has now. I put a teddy bear on a chair, and I was like, just talk to the bear, sweetheart, you know? And I just started asking her questions until this taping. I mean, I can't even tell you how terrifying it was. I mean, thank God she was talking to the bear and not me, because I think she would have saw how scared I was as she's telling these terribly creepy things. that happened in this.
But the thing is, you knew it was the most active room well before she ever moved in it. Or, yeah, before you gave her the room. So you knew it was the most active room. Granted, my parents didn't want to tell me that there was something in the house because they didn't want to scare me. So I get why he didn't talk to her about it or bring it up to her. But why you put her in the most active room? You're the grown man of the house. That should have been your room, man.
In this room with a woman with a nice big long black dress and Jesus.
So, I was in my bedroom, and the lady was talking to me, and she was like, "Come in here. Come on, just come in here." And I freaked out because the lady hadn't spoke to me at all. I never heard her voice. Her voice was deep, really deep. You know how people like drop their voice and they sound really like their voice is like really deep like that? Her voice was like that.
And that was the first time she ever talked to you?
Yes, it was the first time she ever talked to me. She tried to get me in the little tiny door.
It's the room we call the creepy room because it's got this little attic door, and if it opens, it seems like things get worse. So we always kept it closed with a bookcase or something over the front of it. But that room had a like a can opener on the door jamb, and it just had this weird feeling. The kitchen room that ended up being.
Is it a cupboard type thing? Because y'all say it's the kitchen. And if he had a can opener on it, it sounds like he would have stored cans in it. But I don't know how big the room is.
My granddaughter's room. And then my next granddaughter's room.
Only 27 more minutes, guys. I know this is going to be a long video.
Nothing would come out. But if somebody opened that door a little bit, it seemed like people were saying they saw stuff and heard stuff. So, I don't know. But there's nothing in there either because we left. We did look in that door.
Well, of course, you can't see
in
nothing.
the bedroom and stuff. Was that just your bedroom they were playing in?
No, they were playing in their bedroom.
Or what was... I'm confused. What other room? Like Christian's room across the hall, or?
Not Christian's room. The room that was in the little tiny door. Yeah, the little door where I saw the lady, like, and the light stuff were. Yeah, there was another bedroom inside there. She was trying to get me in there and, like, kidnap me, basically.
Through the little door?
Yes. There's, like, the little crack at the bottom. I would look at the crack at the bottom. When I looked through the door like that, I would see them. I would see the lady separate and the boy separate. They were never together, though. They never saw each other.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, does she see him, like, together? Because she was saying she hears breathing when the lady and then giggling when it's the boy. But in my mind, I'm like, to me it sounds like the boy is the lady and the lady is making out to be the boy. I think the lady is more than likely going to... I'm not going to say a succubus, but it does seem like skinwalkers are always referred to as she, if you listen to the obuluses and stuff like that. And it does seem like a lot of the demons are female. A lot of them. Not all of them, by no means, because there's incubuses too. And, dude,
Because the boy would come first in the bedroom, and then the next day you wouldn't see him in the bedroom. Then the next day it was just a lady. I couldn't get in there, and I did not want to get in there because she scared me, and I knew I was not allowed to go in there, so I would never go in there.
Did you ever see the door open and close in your bedroom?
No, I saw the doorknob like twist sometimes, sometimes the lady would try to twist the doorknob to get.
Why has she got to talk to the teddy bear? It ain't like we can see him. And he said he didn't want her. He was like, well, if she'd have been talking to me, she would have seen my reaction to how scared I was. Some of the stuff he says doesn't track with me, bro. It just don't.
Get out. When I see this, I would see it. I would see it when I woke up from her breathing, because her breathing was like really heavy, and I looked at the door, and I saw her dress, and then I looked up, and I saw her like body, and she was like this, just twisting the doorknob, but you couldn't see her face. It was just her twisting the doorknob really violently.
But how do you see that? Unless, you know, I don't know what people can see, because, you know, on a door you have a lip that goes around the inside. That way the door doesn't try to fold all the way through. It stops in the center. You know, it's a door jamb. And when a door jamb is there to stop the door from going all the way through, how are you able to see that? I get what she's saying, looking under the door. Now, when she looks under the door, can she see all that, is what I'm kind of saying. Because I take it you can't see through the crack going up and down.
I didn't want to deal with it.
Poor girl.
Because I knew you guys probably didn't see her. I thought I was the only one that would see these things. But
See, literally, he has cameras. I don't understand earlier why he didn't show the camera view of the spoon and him not throwing it. That is the stuff that I'm questioning.
then you guys saw stuff too, so I felt relieved that I wasn't just me.
When it came time for me to actually make this film, originally I was going to do theatrics and hire actors to come in and reenact and portray certain spirits we see in the house and things like that. And right when we did, this happened.
Go ahead.
Hold on. He said, go ahead. And then the door slammed shut. What was supposed to happen? Why are you recording the door handle? Come on, bro.
I stopped the camera right away. I don't know if I do.
I think it's upset that we just did that.
Looking back now, it's obvious we
Did
provoked
what?
it. We were mocking it, and we agitated it, and the feeling in the room.
But you have no actor there. No one's dressed up. How are you mocking it? You said, go ahead. And the door slams and you act shocked, but you were deliberately recording the handle. What was supposed to happen?
The room definitely reflected that emotion, and that's why this film has no theatrics.
I knew that the upstairs was bad from the very beginning.
I couldn't see any part of the
You know,
door.
upstairs.
Who's to say whoever you were just talking to didn't slam the door shut with their hand at the top? You didn't show us jack shit.
The upstairs, I hated it up there. Totally hated it.
The reason why we were trying to film that theatric is actually because I've caught this on camera before.
Painting my daughter's room in my house purple, obviously. And that, if anyone knows anything, this is the most haunted.
Now, he stood there and says, if anyone knows anything, this is the most haunted. So, okay, that right there took 5 seconds.
Room in the house.
Why would you wait that long to go open the door back up? When that door popped loose, you should have been at that door showing there's no one there to open it. And then before you get there, someone would have pulled it shut, but then you should have been able to pull it right back open and see. Wait a minute, hold on. I just seen something.
Room in the house.
Couldn't tell if that was just my eyes messing with me, but there's a flag or something hanging, and I thought it was moving like someone just took off through it. We'll check one last time.
This is the most haunted room in the house.
Yes, it is moving. So now he's acting like he's just waking up. Let's count how many seconds it took, guys. We're going to go back and just check this real quick.
My daughter's room in my house purple, obviously. And that, if anyone knows If anyone knows anything, this is the most haunted room in the house.
Tell me what you guys think in the damn comments. I need to know what y'all think, because that thing, it was moving. So, to me, either the ghost or somebody darted past, and that was the wind getting sucked behind it. And now he's acting like he's just waking up.
Out of this room, but
My grandson was at one of the little kid tables.
So that happened, and then you decide to go ahead and put your daughter in that room. Now earlier, I remember you said the room was already painted purple. That's why it was already a girl's room, so why don't you just take your cousin's room because it's already purple? Word for word, that is what he said. So why are you just now painting it purple? Does it make sense? Fuck.
Tables in the living room area right by the staircase. He started crying one day, and I was like, "What is wrong with you?" And he said, "The lady on the stairs said shh." We're like, "Great."
I've asked CJ throughout the years if he remembered the woman saying shh. He doesn't, but he does remember.
I know my brother don't remember saying there's a monster in my room. He don't remember that at all.
For the African American woman on the steps. But we both have seen her multiple times. She always seems to be in the same spot, on the lower platform of the stairs, peeping around the corner and just kind of smiling at you. And then like looking at you and just kind of, and just staring at you until you notice her. And about the time you notice, I have goosebumps. About the time you notice her, she's gone, you know? But she's very vivid, and I've seen her a dozen times, at least, over the years.
I have seen the woman on the steps. I was watching TV after my dad left for work, and I hear creaking on the steps. And I think that Nora or Mom has woken up. So I look up, and there's a face, and it's a dark woman. Her eyes are kind of just white, like just white. She's wearing something white, but I can't see exactly what she's wearing. I'm only seeing her head, and she just kind of had like a...
What is moving right there? That thing right there is moving.
Not a grin, but she was smirking in a way. It was just... It happens...
Let's look at
kind of
that
had
again.
like not a grin, but she was smirking in a way. It was just... It happened so fast. It was something where I looked back, and then I looked again, and she was gone. But I remember very vividly, it was a dark woman, sunken eyes, but they were white, and she was wearing a white dress, and her hair was kind of...
Oh, it's a reflection of the chair I guess he's sitting in. Maybe it's a reflection of a chair. It's a reflection, so maybe it's one of them moving.
Frizzy, like an afro, but more so long and unkept.
Yeah, she's definitely one of those roommates, man, that you just kind of know. It would be freaky even if you were standing around the corner looking at us, smiling, and you got us, you know, like, damn it, stop, I'm trying to watch TV, you know what I mean? It was scary, you know, in that kind of way, not like, oh, it's a spirit. It was like somebody scared you by standing there. It's just strange. That's right where the steps were blocked off. I mean, right there, and that's where she was. And given, like I said, to beat the dead horse, the history of the house, she doesn't make any sense being here at all. Because nobody died in the house. Walter didn't even pass away in the house.
He didn't die in the house.
Okay, so if no one died in the house, then why is it the funeral home has anything to do with it? Because that's just a dead body. The souls just stop there and say, I'll just hang out here so I can see other dead people roll through. No. There's something else behind it, whether it's a graveyard, that could be it, but that to me, I'm just taken back to where my dad always said he doesn't believe in ghosts, he believes in demons and fallen angels. Because if you notice, most ghosts and stuff, they always seem to be mad. They're never happy. Nothing. Ever. So that would leave what? They're stuck in, I guess, purgatory Me personally, it's going to be a demon, and they're acting to be like people because you got mimics that can mimic your voice, mimic other voices. So when you hear the same guy talking, even if it sounds like, say it sounds like Walter, it could be a mimic just mimicking him. It doesn't mean it's him. But I truly don't know. I'm interested in ghosts. I would love to do ghost hunting, but I don't want that risk of something following me home, because I'm going to tell you now, that is not worth it. Not at all. Steadily listening for something, your senses get so high because you're steadily waiting on something to happen. It's not worth it.
He got sick and was laying over on the floor one day we came in, and he wouldn't get up. And we took him to the hospital, and he ended up in a nursing home to get better, and he passed away while he was there. So.
One time I think we caught Walter's voice here on camera. I actually didn't hear it, but
mine was just for instance.
I was showing my brother the doll rocking in the chair from the rue morgue. I think he was helping me move around one day, and he spotted one of the skeletons, and he was like, is this thing real? And I was like, oh yeah, dude, everything in here is legit. And he was like, what am I in,
My brother was trying to show me this video of supernatural things, of a doll, I believe. While we were looking at the video, a cry for help came from the vent.
That's that doll. She's upstairs.
You hear that, dude? Hear that? Someone said help. Swear to God, bro. From the basement?
But, if you're looking at it as, is it a plausible thing? Yeah, I could have someone down in the basement and they just say, help. And I hate trying to debunk half his stuff. I believe the stories from the kid and family members, but stuff like that, when the vent is open to the basement, then that means someone could have literally stuck their head in the vent. They could have been downstairs. They could have just said, help.
This is how I came from right here. It said help. Love you, bro.
Because he laughs when he's nervous.
And while we were standing outside,
scared,
I looked up at the window, which used to be my bedroom when I lived here years ago, and there was a figure standing in the window. I could see it clearly. It was just like a dark figure, outline of somebody standing there clearly in the window staring at us. Because I felt like somebody was staring at us. That's why I looked up there, because I felt like it was coming from that direction.
And you for sure think it came from the vent behind you?
I know for a fact it came from the vent behind me in the floor. And my mom was...
It's kind of odd to have the brother that was in the video when it happened asking him, and you for sure think it's the vent in the floor that's behind you? It's like, yeah, dumbass, you were here, you know this. But I guess you got to do it for people like me that can very easily say someone was downstairs and said help near the vent.
Was telling me that in that exact spot is where they found Walter.
There's no dates, there's no times. It just says today, 6:34 p.m. That's all it says. So it doesn't say that he didn't just have her just now type that. Come on now. Why does it all seem like this? You're a little more creeped out now. So you recorded yourself sending the messages at the time, not knowing if where Walter had died
he
yet,
got sick,
and man,
was
y'all are
laying over on the
responding
floor
back.
one
Like,
day we came in, and he wouldn't get up.
But I believe that he was the one that called for help. It sounded just like him.
fact of the matter is, you just seen there was no timestamps on any of that, so that could be done at any time. Like during this part of the video, they could have done it and recorded it. See, that's what I don't like, when there's so many things and then you're trying to exaggerate it out to be so much more when it could be true. It could have really happened, but it also very well could be fake.
Sounds just like his voice saying help.
You right?
Did he whip out his phone in time? No? Dang.
Yeah, I was standing here at the car door. And I
You're
looked
out
up
there with your phone
and I seen
going?
a figure, or not a figure, but a shadow on the wall right there by that picture. And this is the
But
same
anybody
window
can
that I
say
seen
that.
The figure standing in right there.
Right there, man.
The little window.
And then
The little window,
it
yeah.
was hanging upside
And the big
down,
window right
like
here
it
where
was
you see the
standing
top
on
of
the
that
ceiling
picture, I just
on
seen
the one
somebody, a
beside
shadow.
that.
And then
And
that's
there
when
was
I went
13
inside,
more
checked, and you
beside
guys were all
that.
downstairs.
Like, come on, bro.
Nobody had went upstairs. And
Why
that's
in
my
the
old
fuck
bedroom.
are you outside if he's
That's
leaving?
my old room that I used to
You
live in.
gonna give him a hug?
My bed actually was right there against
out
that
in the
window.
parking lot instead of saying, all
I've
right,
never
and
had
give him a
any
hug
kind of
inside?
experiences here at all as a kid growing up.
Or maybe he just looked outside 10 minutes later and wondered why his brother's just standing up, looking at the window, and he comes running outside with his phone and saying, you okay? I've just seen another one, guys.
Grandma said that she's seen multiple things. My mom, people standing on the stairs.
You're saying
I've
you're
never
seeing multiple
experienced anything
things.
till now. It's freaking me out. I don't even want to come back here.
Okay. That right there is going to drive me up the wall. They knew this story had been going on since the late 90s. There has been things happening in the house since Walter died and they moved in. And now, for the second time after hearing a voice downstairs, now you're seeing yet another shadow. Now you don't want to come back no more. Well, why are you there now? Because you've seen another shadow before then. Your grandma had doors shaking. Your mom has heard things. Your grandma's heard. Y'all have had so many things happen. Why are you turning into a pussy right now on screen? Yeah, I don't want to come back here no more. See, that is what makes me not believe what them two are saying, at least. And it's starting to kind of discredit what everyone else is saying. He's got his daughter talking to a teddy bear when you can hear his voice is off to the right, which is where the teddy bear is. So it's like, why is she talking to the teddy bear and you're right there? And then you interrupt her telling something to ask her another question, but yet you see her eyes look over at you. She would have seen how scared I was.
I do have a couple clients that refuse to get tattooed here. And they've never even stepped foot on grass here. It's just the little bit, I guess, that's even been like talked about. Because they don't even know everything that has happened here.
No.
Between you living here, your mom living here, and the non-living here. I mean, things that happened here when you didn't even live here for years.
And she works where all the haunted items that got moved to this house. The house had the spirits before he moved all them stuff there. So that means he took, say there's 50 items. So, the house is already haunted. He brings 50 more items over. But she worked with the 50 items every day.
You know, they don't even know that stuff. They just hear the ghost stories and...
Who's telling them?
They don't want to come.
The room more to me was way darker, aesthetically.
Oh, for sure.
But this is why I didn't tell people the room was haunted like it was so publicly.
Right.
For that reason.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there were even people that didn't want to come to the room work at one point, right? Especially after, like, the museum.
Well, I mean, you got haunted shit all over the place. If they don't want to go there and they know the items are there, why? What's the difference? Of course they're not going to want to go there. You got fucking demonic shit there.
I think sometimes you just know. I think that's just the energy in everybody. Like, you just feel like something's off. And with some people, they're like, no thanks.
It's too off for me.
Open the shop. Things have happened since then to us and clients.
A lot of my clients have had things happen here, and what concerns me though is the amount of physical touch that's been happening in this place. And it seems like that's getting more with some of the newer items I've brought in. I've acquired some items in here that are pretty dark. And since that's happened, it seems like touch has been more of a thing. I was closing the door one day and something violently shoved the door and slammed my hand in the door jamb. And I mean, if I didn't have my ring on, it would have probably broke my fingers.
I've broken my fingers before. I've cut my thumb off. That's why my name is Nubs. But I've shut my fingers. I've punched things. I've broken fingers before. Do you know how hard you got to shut a door to break your fingers? But here's the thing. He said if I didn't have my ring on. I got a ring sitting somewhere. Hold on. I just seen it. I'm going to hit play.
That's how hard the door slammed. I don't remember what we were doing in here when that happened, but most likely trying to film or provoke.
That is my ring. Granted, he's got that wide of a faceplate. That means if that door would have hit him here, he's fucked, he's fucked, he's fucked, he's fucked. Fucked. I mean, that doesn't track with me because, you know, I've shut my hand. And I'm sure you guys have shut your hands in doors before. You know how lucky you got to be to get your hand to get hit right where the ring is? Which could have happened. Put it that way. Did it bend your ring?
Bug.
This hurts something. What? Sound like a mum. Just now?
Yeah. Up across this mirror, just see a black and gray mist just go from standing here right to left and then out of the picture. Look back at the TV to see if maybe it was the TV, and I don't think the TV could have done what I was seeing. Just from right to left, just the whole mirror went black, gray to regular.
Now, I have had an instance where something hit my bedroom door, and I mean, it hit it hard. And I was at the house alone at the time, but then and I was like, I was fucking scared. But then, it was like a white mist came in the room and everything calm. Like, I just got so calm, like I was totally fine. And when that white mist came in, everything changed, and that was the end of that. So I can't knock him.
Yeah, it looked like somebody just walked across. I mean,
so we're getting here, getting tattooed. Some bang happened on this desk, but nothing it shook the room. And it was a loud sound. Jolted Adam. We took a break because of it, so.
We were sitting in the chair while you were working on my arm, and it felt like something just grabbed this side of my leg and just like slowly was pulling up the side of my thigh, and it got really cold. I like 4 individual fingers just raking up the side of my leg.
Like how long did it take?
Like 15, 20 seconds. It just kept going until it finally just pulled away. Something just growled in between us as we were just talking about something touching my leg.
And you said
it was you just with me.
Where'd you think it came from, though?
Out of the vents.
You know what? I wonder if it's on the camera in there. Let me check. Yeah, crazy.
Cool. Yeah. Just basically doing like a. Did you just hear that? Oh. Yeah. Just basically doing like a. Yeah. Just basically doing like a.
Yeah, when I turned back and heard the noise, I have no clue or remembrance of turning around. Like, my body just pulled backwards, and I don't know why I ever looked back.
Tattoo in a house gives me goosebumps. Yeah. You just get them? Yeah. Yeah, something came through.
Yeah.
It's active.
Yeah, dude. Cool that something came through. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've been getting touched a lot lately, too.
Yeah, it felt like somebody was pulling my hair.
Oh, really?
When we were in that room, it felt like somebody, like, I kept going on my toes. And like, I don't know, maybe he got pushed out. Well, that's, I mean, weird.
Can I film you real quick?
Absolutely.
Is it can?
Yeah.
Like here's the
There it
experience.
is again.
What's going on?
They're like pulling at my hair. Somebody is. I don't know who it is. Something. It is, honestly.
And also, I mean, I was gonna say static electricity to where, you know, like if the room is electrified, which usually means something could be around, like the hairs stand up on your arm, but he's saying pulling, so that's different.
Man, that's.
Well, we both got goosebumps a second ago, which is what brought this up, and there's a camera right there.
I'm sorry. I'm so tired of people. Even though earlier I said I got goosebumps, but I also didn't hold my arm at the camera because I'd say 80-90% of the time you can't see anything.
So I'll pull that footage
Y'all
up.
could just
but
be
you said
saying
you were
that.
upstairs?
Like, rocking back and forth. I wasn't trying to, trying to push me forward.
So you felt like something was behind you? Like,
Yeah, but it was more like I was just falling forward. But something was doing something. I mean, it was, yeah. It didn't feel like a push. It just felt like my equilibrium went out the window and up.
well, and then as you're walking down the steps here.
Yeah, I
you-
basically
you-
fell off the left step.
Yeah.
Just completely missed it.
Did you, now do you think that was you just falling out the steps? Or did you feel like anything was...
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, careful, dude.
Good. Sorry.
You okay?
Yeah. Thinking back. Yeah. I think it's
That's a ditzy move. I've done
it's
it.
just not normal. Yeah, that was.
Oh.
Something was weird. Yeah, that was.
Oh.
Something was weird.
I don't know if someone's standing up there. You won't go, or are you going to go up there? Go up there.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not
Do
going.
you hear the steps?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so what do you think?
It's.
See, he didn't even go investigate to prove nobody was there. He just goes back to this guy. You're trying to show people how haunted this lovely tattoo shop is. Come get your tattoo at this haunted place. But I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna go check that out to see if there's like my brother standing up there around the corner.
The real.
I'm disappointed,
I
man.
mean, it's wicked. Yeah.
And you've been here now twice.
I have. Yeah.
And have you had any experiences?
With the clown over there, the clown is very weird.
So is that bear
and
on
then
the wall.
upstairs
It's pretty
in that,
fucking weird.
Third bedroom there, you got weird chills and vibes in there.
Which one? Do you mind?
The kids' room.
The pink one?
Yep, the pink one. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, and then the clown, like I said down here, I get really weird vibes from him, man. Like he's just talking to me or looking at me or I don't know.
You want to hug him?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Was it the kitchen door or the back door? And it just slammed. And I mean, not like, not like a normal just slam the door. I mean, it was a slam.
It's typical to come in the room after you hear things fall, see things on the ground like this, review the footage. Sometimes you get lucky and catch it. Sometimes you don't see anything. I put this one in the documentary because of the way that they fell, one by one. And then if you look closely next to Walter's...
What I seen is the first one fell and the bottom end of it, when it kicked up, it tapped the next one. That's why it fell. Watch again, guys.
One by one.
Yeah.
And then if you look closely
Bow,
next to Walter's
yeah.
jacket that was displayed right there, the chain is moving on the light fixture. And then also, Walter has these bird whistles. When I walked in the room, I heard a bird whistle. I heard a bird whistle.
Hold on.
When I When I walked in the room, I heard...
Granted, he does have his phone in his hand. I don't know if he just played that sound on his phone. Because a bird whistle, does it sound like a bird or is it just a whistle with a bird on it? I don't know. I'd have to look that one up.
I heard a bird whistle.
Ooh, don't feel good. Feel
I'm gonna
very
try to make it to the
nauseous.
end of this,
Like,
guys.
I'm, like,
Sorry, my
nauseous.
dog's wanting to get up on the
Yeah,
couch.
but like I'm like nauseated, like bad. I've had quite a few experiences here. I've definitely heard footsteps up and down the stairs, specifically up and down. One of the experiences that I had was when I was coming up the stairs to get paper towels. I was like looking down because I'm clumsy. As I was coming up, I like lifted my head up and I saw a black figure, a shadow, but not a shadow. You couldn't see through it. It wasn't transparent in any kind of way. It was just a black figure there. I kind of jumped back, like, gonna fight it, you know, and it was just gone, like a light switch.
And there's no cameras on it. You're showing us views of cameras mounted on every wall, and there's not a camera running. Come on, man.
Just off. I've heard a woman specifically say hello twice and multiple times in that sitting.
You're very welcome, of course.
Obviously, Shelby didn't come out of the room and look around for us, but I like that she...
But it could have been staged. That's the thing. Someone could be standing at the window outside and say, hello! And that's your cue to come out and walk around the corner and look towards the door. That's what's driving me nuts, is he acts like, but she just verified it right there, guys. She come out and looked around. She didn't do that for no reason other than this video that I was going to pay people to, you know, be the characters of this documentary that I made it through magically while my daughter lived in the most active room.
She did that because it indicates to us that
Nothing.
She did hear it come from that room outside of the booth.
Okay. We'll take it back. Tell me where y'all thought that voice was. He just said that it verifies that it sounded like it come from outside that room. No, it didn't. It sounded like it was right at the camera. Hell, there could be a person standing under the camera.
Obviously, Shelby didn't come out of the room.
Did I miss it? Alright.
I've heard
Here we go, guys.
a woman
Couple
specifically
minutes
say
left
hello
and we're done.
twice and multiple times in that sitting.
You're very welcome, of course.
That sounds like a person. And whatever that slamming thing is that keeps happening on the right here, you know, I don't know what that is, but for some reason the sound cuts out.
Obviously, Shelby didn't come out of the room and look around for us, but I like that she did that because it indicates to us that she did hear it come from that room outside of the booth, outside of where the TV is playing and her client is, and that's validating for us for her origin of the voice.
It could be her.
I can't quite make out what this other one is trying to say or hum,
but it could be
but it
her
sounds like
doing
it has
it.
the same tone as the first.
If you're saying that microphone is so sensitive, it's picking up voices from through the other door around the corner, then why can't it be picking her up through that door right there?
The first one, indicating it's the same entity, which lines up with Shelby's personal experience.
One of the first ones was with you when the Ouija board that had been up there for 10 years or something had just fallen off the wall randomly. And that was before we opened. I think that was like the day before we opened.
There has to be movement for the Ring camera to be set off. And months before this, something came through the room, and you can actually see the shift. The chairs move, some items move, and the door slams. But it happened so fast that we weren't actually able to capture what made everything move. But definitely something ran through the room. And the reason why I bring this clip up is even in this clip, you can see the Ouija board was on the wall there.
Stop, girl. Now, it has something to do with, she said she was getting nauseous, so maybe that has something to do with it. But otherwise, why is she all of a sudden quitting? She never said anything attacked her. Nothing ever hurt her. She just said she felt sick during the interview. But other than that, she said people didn't. I would quit for the fact some people wouldn't come get their tattoos done there because they didn't want to be around the bullshit or the drama or the fate. To me, seems like he did all this to make a video to drum up interest in his little bullshit tattoo shop, and that's all he did it for. That's what it sounds like. They got one video from, what did she say, 7 years ago? 7 years ago, where I don't think it was her hand, but maybe it was so maybe it was some kind of ghost. Could have that ghost been, I don't know how they work. It might can show itself here and have sounds of walking elsewhere. So it might have just been a demon beside you to look like a kid. You got to think that way because they're all about lies and deceit. All I'm saying is this could all be 100% true. Am I believing it? Hell no. Because of the way you've got aerial camera views of the whole place. But you don't show them when that spoon comes flipping over a wall or, you know, around a door in down a hallway. You don't show you just standing there with nothing in your hands. There's no one else in the building that just threw the spoon while you're standing there. You don't show that, and I don't know why. You went through all this trouble for a documentary, pulling your phone out, having your daughter talk to a teddy bear. I still ain't figured out that part yet. I want to say the stuff your family's saying is true. Did you put your daughter up to it and you really don't feel bad as a father and you're just trying to make something out of it? Possibly. The more I keep seeing and hearing the way you're trying to push this narrative that isn't seeming very true is quite irritating. So it's almost like you're just trying to make money off of a video with your family in it and got your kids pushing it because most people will trust a kid. Now, all of it could have been bullshit. You could have just made this shit up. Might be a tattoo artist, might be a shitty one, and might be a good one. I don't know. I'll never know because I won't go there. I mean, there's no point for me to go there. Why would I do that? The way you have explained all of this has started to kind of tick me off, actually. And actually, I really didn't expect to get irritated of it. It's just the way you're pushing the narrative on it, bro. Look, guys, we got 6 minutes left. Give me 6 minutes. I showed 5.5. That's my noob. But anyway, let's go ahead and knock this video out so you guys can go watch something else. Hopefully it's one of my videos.
Yeah, the house is just too heavy.
Aren't you in the house
best way to explain
right
it is
now?
just that there's a constant weight of emotion on me. That's the best way that I can explain it. I just feel sad here all the time.
I can see that.
Scary place when you sit around.
I'm sorry. I wouldn't be sitting in that chair with all them damn spider webs on it, bro. I get it. You're a man's man, but still, come on, get the fuck out that chair. Or dust it off, but it's for effects. It's for effects.
And just listen to it. It talks to you and tells you stories.
And you get cobwebs all over your coat.
I don't care what time of year it is. I don't care what's going on. You always have that bad vibe that you're not ever alone in that house. I don't care if there's 1,000 people in there. There's still something there that you don't want to go into it unless you've got somebody with you.
I can see
You know,
that. That's
just don't
100%
wanna do
true.
it.
That's how it is
I
at my
miss
dad's
the
house.
house because I lived in there basically my whole entire life.
I kind of get where she's coming from because that's where she grew up, and But the thing is, if that lady scared you so much, why would you miss that house? Because I guarantee you, my brother don't miss it. I don't miss my dad's house. I'm worried about when my dad passes, whenever that is. I hope it's a long time from now, but I don't even want to go there to get my stuff out. The stuff that's in the attic, the stuff that's in the house. One, I don't want something being able to attach itself to that item and then come back here. That's my thing. I don't even want to go on the property. I normally don't. I normally stay out on the street. I won't go inside.
I love this house. I really do. But I don't love the factor of that you're not alone in this house. You're not the only
Well,
people
the whole
in
house,
the house.
is
There's always
supposedly.
someone here watching you, and it's.
So then you don't
it's
love the
draining.
house.
Really.
Then you don't love it.
I'm glad we moved out of the house.
Right.
For sure.
Okay. Then
I
you
think
don't
this
love
place
it.
is haunted. I think the items in here are haunted. I think there's a whole other level of haunted, and I think haunted kind of cheapens it because it's more than that.
There's a haunted, and then there's the demonic. There's an oppression to it. So, yeah, I get what she's saying as far as it being cheapens it. I get that.
Like it's more than just like a haunting. It's like a whole ecosystem of life in here. Beyond life.
That's not happy.
That's the best way.
That's why you supposedly left. Because if it was life.
Oh, so the downstairs bathroom had a door from the half bath to the basement to go down there. That's where the basement was at. The door, I'd always shut it if it was to a little bit, make sure it's shut tight because that always gave me the creeps, that and the stairs. I went to the bathroom, went to the kitchen, done things around the house, go back and clean up the bathroom, straighten the bathroom up or do something. The door was always wide open.
That's why you take screws, nail, a board. You take a door stop, a regular door stop to keep the door open. Just kick it in there while it's shut. So that way that door cannot come open unless you take that out. That's what I would have done.
So after about the 34th time shutting it, it's when I called somebody, I think, and told them about that door would not stay shut.
The only incident that I had where I heard something was leaving the band room to go throw away a piece of garbage. The trash can was right next to the bathroom. As I was throwing it away, the bathroom was to my left and the door was open. And right as I threw it away, I heard, "Hello?" And it was very audibly from that bathroom. It's like, ugh. Like I instantly just got the chills from it, and just, as we would do, and whenever there was a kind of incident like that, you just kind of back up, pretend like it didn't happen, and just go about your business. Pick up a guitar and go into practice. So.
When I was in the downstairs bathroom washing my hands, I walked out and I saw a water ball. It wasn't filled with water, but it was rolling on the ground. I looked at it, I put it on the counter, and walked away.
It isn't the first house I went into that I turned around and went back out.
What I believe is it has to be evil spirits or demons that are haunting this house. I don't believe it could be dead people. I just don't believe it.
Which is creepy enough, I'm sorry. If you're gonna live in a big house like that, you don't want the big wooden doors slamming shut and somebody trying to get in. You don't want to go.
That's probably why Walter had it blocked off.
Go to the kitchen to get anything. You don't want to go to the bathroom. You don't want to do anything but sit right there and freeze.
I know that feeling.
till somebody comes home and saves you.
Yep, that's true. You don't want to fucking move.
It had me scared the whole time there. I hated it. I really did. I hated it.
Is that it?
I've had a lot of time, given all the roadblocks this film gave me while making it, to really think about how I wanted to end the film. So in closure, I've obtained the obituary that Walter wrote himself in 1998,
Got a
in which he
minute
states something
and a
I find
half.
unique that I've never seen in any other obituary. He wrote, "As no one can predict the evil day or hour," and he goes on to write, "The way things are going, when the odd man upstairs is ready for me, I'm ready to go." The odd man.
Or is that
He even put it in
old
quotations.
man? Because
I
that
mean,
could
surely
be
he
an
meant
L.
Old. Right?
Okay. Okay, guys, that was a very long video. And yes, it has some very intriguing spots. Maybe it's just the way he goes about describing things or something. There's something about the way he delivers it to me that makes it seem so false. Parts of it. I want to say this. I want to say that I believe 75% of everything that was said as far as from any of his personal videos. Nothing in any of his videos led that it is an actual spirit and not a person somewhere other than the spirit box. That, if it, I mean, technically you could replay it on a Bluetooth speaker if you recorded it, and then you can replay it, but I'm not saying he did that. So that right there, that video, I'll kind of lead to, yeah, that right there would have been the one thing that I would say was true, is that he's got a recording of him talking and he's got the box in his hand and it's answering, but every other video was debunkable. Every one of them, even the one with his brother, all of it was so debunkable, it was insane. But then he would add in, see, since they did that, that just tells you it's gotta be. No, it really didn't. It just says you could have told your brother to do it. You could have had your friend downstairs. Everyone knew you were making a documentary. So therefore, it could very well be fake, because the more people that like this video and believe it, the more business you think you're going to get, the more money through YouTube, everything. So I can't say that they were all telling the truth. I would say they are, but I did not believe any. The whole spoon video and the someone from down in the vent and old girl coming out and looking around the corner after someone said hello, I don't believe any of those. Because there's no evidence that no one was in the room. No one was standing on the other side. You never showed the other camera views proving that no one was around. You never showed the video of you being alone when the spoon went flying. All of that is a real hard slide towards the false. Because you have taken all the time to mount the cameras, record everything, go through cameras, so much so you catch it when a camera gets bopped and it goes from gray and black to in color. You went through every minute of all your cameras, but then you decide to not show us that you were actually 100% alone when that spoon went flying. Therefore, I think it's false, it's fake. Then you pick up the spoon and then you drop it again to, oh, it's the sound. Well, no shit, Charlotte. There's nothing else that's metal on the floor. Of course, that would have been it. And you said it was supposed to be in this room, but no one ever seen that it was in the room when it happened. All we seen is you're out in the hallway with it. You could have had the spoon behind your back, threw it. You could have had it in front of you and thrown it over your head. I say those were false. They could have been real, but we'll never know until you release the rest. Anyway, guys, I hope y'all love this damn interview, this documentary. And I got to tell you all a little bit about me and what's going on in my life in the past. And I got a lot more. I got some other stories, and none of them are like drastic, except for when I got scratched all the way down my back twice. But y'all let me know if y'all want to hear about that stuff. If so, maybe I can get my brother here and we'll just tell you the things that's happened in our lifetime. But I hope y'all all take it easy. Have a blessed day, beautiful night, whatever it may be. I will catch y'all on the next one.